is that you will not get any honest answer from people that are not necessarily knowledgeable about what is happening in the place. They are not necessarily also diplomatic people who have no fucking clue about strategy. They sound like 20, 18 years old. I don't know. Like, I don't know if...
I think we from California, nigga.
All right, California.
Any listening, you don't have any listening skills to debate with someone maybe who has more experience in debates more than you. That's why you don't have any experience to answer any of my questions. So you don't have any idea.
No, I am not going to answer any of your questions because this is not a reporting room. You are going to make a statement, or you're going to go on mute and down in the audience.
I'm not in your home to ask you to do
this is my home, precisely. This is my house, and you're in my house.
So you don't have any...
Okay. Now he'll understand. Welcome, Nathan. How are you?
Doing good. I actually wanted to say a statement. If he was talking about the Israeli flag, it was printed in 1948. Palestinian flag, which you know today, that represents the Palestinian identity, was only created in 1964 with the PLO and Yasser Arafat. So if he wants to make that claim, I guess Israel has a much stronger claim to the land than the Palestinians.
Not sure what the web means, Soren. Do you want to make a statement?
It's a spider, boy.
I know. What does that mean?
I don't know. What do you think?
I have no idea. You like Spider-Man comics?
Some people resonate these days, spider web, with a particular territory. But we'll leave it for the people's imagination what that... Here's a question for you. Do you think it's a disputed territory, or is it an occupation?
Which part?
It is not an occupation, and I don't think Israel has got any interest in the territory.
Okay.
What this is about security.
Okay.
Which part?
Do you believe there's a disputed territory or an occupation?
Which part?
It is not about the territory. An occupation implies that it's about the territory, and a disputed territory implies that it's about a territory. It's not about the territory. It's about safety.
6th of October, was it a disputed territory or occupation?
What do you mean? An occupation. It was an attack from a terrorist group inside of Israel.
I'm talking about the 6th of October, a day before 7th of October. Was it a disputed
territory?
Gaza
had its territory, and Israel had its territory, and there is a fence that was built because of security, and Gaza was left on their own. They were in charge of their territory. And actually Gaza, for like about 2 years, Hamas, they were trying to fake that they were a peaceful people and that they didn't want to harm Israelis anymore, and that the temperature was getting lower. And in fact, a week before the 7th of October, Israel started accepting more people from Gaza, giving more permits to go to work in Israel. And they were getting relaxed because they were starting to trust that the people in Gaza were actually getting into their business and stop trying to kill them. And then October 7 happened.
I got your
so
point.
it's better to have a pineapple on a pizza. And Monica Lewinsky had an affair with Clinton. But by the way,
I don't know what Monica Lewinsky has to do with any of this, but
warming is happening.
Soren, I will send you these answers in a PDF file.
It's a very simple
Soren,
question.
I will send you the answers in a PDF file. I'm sure you would love to open that one. I'll send it to you in a PDF file, okay? PDF file.
All right, thank you. So 6th of October 2023 is a simple question. Was it a disputed territory and occupation? You don't need to go around.
It was not a disputed territory. Israel had no intention in...
Well, it's just a simple question. You don't have to explain.
No, I am telling you, it's not about the territory. There is no fucking occupation. To my understanding, there was no...
I didn't ask you why
Israel was not occupying Gaza.
Maybe it's a communication barrier. Maybe it's a language
Israel
barrier.
was not occupying Gaza on the 6th of October.
We all know that Israel is funding all the fucking wars out there.
Did I ask you why is it disputed
How
territory?
can you sit here and talk for the Jews when you're not even Jewish?
Did I say, is it disputed?
Well, I'm not talking for anyone here. I'm going to do exactly what you do in your rooms. I am not talking here for anyone. I am saying here my own... No, I'm not going to stop muting you. This is what you do in your room. So you're gonna do exactly the same thing speaking in my room. So I am not speaking here for any Jew. I am not speaking here for any group of people. I'm here giving my own opinion based on my own observations and my own knowledge. If you don't like it, you're welcome to disagree. But what you're not going to do is like misrepresent my statements.
Yeah, and you were dating a neo-Nazi because he broke your heart. Now you're changing your opinion.
Yeah.
Cringe.
Nobody broke
So
my heart.
fucking cringe.
Listen, if you want to talk about the war, we can do it. If you want to talk about my personal relationship, that is not up for discussion, especially not
You're
with you.
cringe.
So, do you want to talk about the war, or do you want to go down to the
You're
audience?
so
What do you want to
cringe.
talk
You're
about?
not even an Israeli or Jew or from that area to even be speaking about this
Okay,
stuff.
and that
And you
is
know what the
okay.
fucking funny thing is? That do you know how many?
All right, so you're gonna listen from the audience, and that's where your place is going to be. Anyway,
So look,
what were you saying, Soren?
If you ask me this question, I would say occupation. 6th of October 2020.
How is it an occupation?
So
Can you
ask the
explain
question
to
to
me?
you. Is it occupation? You don't need to explain to me why it's a disputed territory. In your
No,
opinion.
no. Okay, so Soren, you're trying to get out of me that it was an occupation.
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
not at
Get
all.
out. Hold on. This is the reason why I don't like to.
Because
This is the
many
reason why I
people
don't.
believe
Hold on.
it's
This
a
is
disputed
the
territory.
reason why I don't like to play.
No.
To play
Many
21
people
questions.
believe it's a disputed territory.
Soren,
I don't say
you
you're
need to
wrong or
listen.
right.
Soren, you need to listen. So, you're trying to get out of me that it was an occupation.
Not at all.
I'm telling
No,
you.
you're wrong.
Hold on. You're not gonna take that out of me that it was an occupation. So how about
you don't have to answer the
instead?
question. then. You
Hold
don't need
on.
to,
How about instead of asking
No,
me?
you can't ask me
trying to
how I
force-
asked. I asked a
trying-
question.
hold
You
on.
can't just tell me,
How
don't ask
about
the question.
instead of
Okay.
trying to ask me, get from me a response that I'm not gonna get you because I don't believe so? How about you tell me why do you think that it was an occupation?
Because of the fact that it's written on the State Department of the United States. That's why. Forget about the UN. In the State Department, it's
No,
just
I
an
don't.
occupation.
Okay, so
Just
it's
because of
written.
that.
What is it written? What is your
You believe
rationale?
everything
What
the
is
My
your
US
rationale
Department says?
is what the U.S. State Department says. That's it.
No, Soren, it's
So you'll
you
do anything they
and
say?
me on this stage right now. I want to know what's in your head. Why are you telling me that it's an occupation? I want to understand your position.
Okay, so you don't want to answer my question, and you just okay, go ahead.
It's just that the answer I'm giving you,
No,
it's
you
not.
can't
The
answer
answer
my-
I'm giving you, it's not satisfactory to you because I'm not saying
But
that
you
it's
know
an
what?
occupation.
Your whole
So
argument
clearly you
is gonna
believe
be-
that it's an occupation.
Like,
so
you
why
know what?
don't
The
you just
question
tell
that I
us
asked,
why
the
is it
question
an
that I asked,
occupation?
literally kind of destroy your whole argument. If you believe it's an occupation,
No, because I don't believe it's an occupation. So
Okay,
instead of
fair
trying
enough.
to ask, instead of trying to get
So
from
why
me
don't you say it's
a
a
response
disputed
that I'm not going
territory
to
then?
give you, just tell me why you think it's an occupation.
No. Well, that was my following question to you. If you were telling me if you were telling me it's a disputed territory, my question would be, why do you think it's a disputed territory?
Correct,
And I
but I
obviously
don't
don't
think
answer
it's a
that.
disputed territory. That's the problem. So your follow-up question doesn't make any sense. So why don't you tell me why is it that, in your opinion, I should consider that a disputed territory? Why should I consider that it to
Okay,
be
so
an
you don't
occupation?
want to answer my question, pretty much, right? You don't
my
want to say it's an
God.
occupation. You don't want to
I
say
already
it's a
answered your
disputed
question,
You
and my
didn't.
response is
So
not.
I
not
say it's
convenient to you.
occupation. What do you say? Do you say it's disputed territory or
I
an
said
occupation?
no.
So which one is it?
It is not any of them.
Oh, it's
Israel
not any
is
of
a
them.
separate
Wow.
territory than Gaza. Yes.
Wow, Ben Gvir. Oh, wow. Okay, that's another. Oh, wow. Okay, all right.
So you're not gonna tell me why you think
Well,
it's an
you don't
occupation.
even believe
Then we
it's a
can move on.
disputed territory. Wow. I didn't expect that coming from you, to be honest. You gobsmacked me.
Well, what a disappointment. I'm sorry that
I'm
I
sorry,
disappointed
no.
you so early in the morning.
No, it's okay. Because even Ben Gvir don't believe in that.
What is your point, Soren?
No, I mean, this is extremely important. If he believes in occupation, then resistance to occupation is legitimate. If he don't believe in an occupation, then obviously whatever any resistance group do is not acceptable, even if they attack the military sites. So that's the
And that was my
problem,
response.
I
I told you it is
Yeah.
not an occupation. So
Okay, so that
why
fair
are
enough.
you looking to give a
If it's not an
follow-up
occupation,
question
any
to something
fair enough.
that you're not getting?
No,
It's
no.
just absurd the way that you're asking this.
No, that's totally fine. If it's not an occupation, then any resistance to that, I mean, it would be terrorism. So you cannot even attack the military sites. So then you win the argument. But if we can establish the fact that it's an occupation, then it's within the right of the
You're
people
just
who are
upset at
occupying.
me because I didn't
No.
answer what you were expecting for me to respond. And so you had a plan of asking me like 5-10 questions, and I'm saying no, I don't believe it's an occupation. So now what?
Fair enough. Then,
You don't have anything
you're
more
right.
else to answer.
Then you're right. Then
to
you
ask.
can kill all of the people in Palestine. Then
It's
you've
not
got
about
everything.
killing all of the people, dude. There was an attack on a country, a sovereign country, and that country has the right to defend
No,
themselves.
no,
Can I say
They have the
something?
if
moral.
it's occupations happening, they
They
don't
have-
have the right.
And
At
They
all.
have a
Can I say
moral right to
something?
defend themselves
Yeah.
and also a moral obligation
Not at all.
to
If it's
defend
an
their
occupation,
people.
they don't
Sorry,
have any
can,
right.
can
for
I
self-defense.
can I say something, please?
Correct, and I said there is no occupation.
Isa, I completely agree with you to destroy Gaza or I don't know destroy Hamas anything. I completely agree with you. But my question is, why are you occupying West Bank?
There's
You
no
know, the West
occupation
Bank-
in there.
you know, why
Javad,
you
they don't
occupying West
believe in
Bank?
occupation. Why don't you see that? They don't
No,
believe in
West
occupation.
Bank, West Bank.
So you see, this is a problem when you guys start tap dancing. It's like, okay, you wanted to talk about Gaza, let's talk about Gaza.
No,
because
I
you
don't want to
didn't
talk
get
about
the
Gaza.
response that you were looking for.
I don't.
Hold on.
No, I don't. I am
You didn't
completely
get the
agree.
response that you were looking for when we talked
I-
about
I'm
Gaza. Now you want to
completely
go
agree
to the
with
West
you.
Bank.
You should
When you
defend
don't get
yourself.
the response that you want on the West Bank, you're gonna jump to
defend yourself in
Lebanon.
Gaza.
And so it
was
goes. And you guys
completely-
are and
Their
you guys
fault.
are tap dancing constantly, and so it's very difficult to have a conversation when you guys are all over the place. If you want to talk about one topic, okay, let's talk about that specific topic and let's exhaust the topic. But you're just like,
Do you
oh,
want-
but
do
what
you
about
want
the
to
West
have
Bank? Oh, but
conversation
what
or
about
not?
Lebanon? Oh,
Okay?
but what
No,
about
no,
the children? Oh,
I
but
just
what
want to
about
know,
the women?
do you want to have conversation or not? Okay, if you want to have conversation, Soren assumed that Israel is an occupier. I completely agree with you. You should defend yourself in Gaza situation, and you should defend yourself from Hamas and any other group that wants to invade you or something like that. But I just want to know that if you don't consider yourself as an occupier, why are you occupying West Bank?
The reason Israel is occupying the West Bank is because of the war of, I think, 67 with Jordan and Egypt, and Jordan and Egypt withdrew from those particular regions, and Israel did claim the territory in a defensive war because they didn't start it, and they held the territory. But at that point, Jordan and Egypt were not interested in negotiating the return of the land, and it has remained occupied territory since, because even without Jordan and Egypt, those regions can't really function without some kind of military, and the political parties there only want to have their own native military to attack the state of Israel. So Israel is rightly occupying and defending because of the threat against its sovereign territory.
Occupying and defending,
Yeah.
it was a new word. I just want to know that. So you don't want to let Palestinian people have their own country, yeah? So you don't want to remove all of them from their land?
No, I would love for the Palestinians
The
to have their own.
Palestinians could have their own country if they actually decided that they wanted to live in peace. But the
Javad,
problem with the
why do
West
you
Bank,
believe
the problem with hold on, Maxine.
We don't
The
want
problem with the West Bank
Palestinians.
is that there is terrorism that comes out of the West Bank. Hamas, Islamic Jihad are in the West Bank. They're stabbings, shootings, bombings against Israeli civilians from that area. Lone wolf attacks that happen all the time. And although not as frequent as Gaza, there's also rocket fire that comes from Gaza, from the West Bank. So that is the reason why there is a security perimeter around parts of the West Bank. Pretty simple.
Yeah, I think Israel always excuse the security for occupying at all. So I
there's
think
no-
right
there's no
now
excuse.
we are convinced that Israel can be an occupier or something like this.
There's no excuse. There's also the smuggling of weapons. There's lots of weapons that go into the West Bank, which have been smuggled in, which makes it easy for militant groups to cause problems for Israel. And also, whenever there's a protest, they become violent. and there are lots of riots.
So you should occupy their land because of that.
It is and
No,
has been a
we-
justified defensive occupation for like 50 years.
Correct. We should securify our borders so that these attacks don't spill over.
And by the
That's
way,
exactly what
any
happens.
state that we propose for the Palestinians to unite around is completely bankrupt. It is seen as a foreign, implementation of a puppet government that Israel is trying to produce. So yes, Israel is only defending the occupied territories from the invasion that Palestinians continue to confess they want to engage in. They want to build an army and attack Israel.
And
So
not to
what
mention,
exactly should Israel do with its border state filled with people that want to build an army to destroy them? How do you defensively occupy that for 50 years?
not to mention also the Palestinian Authority, which is the pay for slay. Have you heard of pay for slay? That they actually pay people to go out
their method of warfare, suicide
and murder Israelis. They pay for their families. They pay for themselves.
A lot of stabbing.
It's a martyrs fund brigade. Now you tell me which country would want that on their borders? Which forward-thinking?
Okay, let me tell you my point of view.
Go ahead.
I think, Mike said you want to say something. Yeah.
I wanted to hear your point of view, but if you wanted to hear a more pressing comparison, it would be as if the cartels of Mexico that have sovereignty in their regions of Mexico were to set up at the border of Texas and Mexico and fire rockets into Mexico and into Texas. And Mexico refused to defend them. Mexico encourages these gang leaders at the border with America to fire rockets into Texas at good American citizens. I assure you, America would do far worse than defensively occupy the region and allow them to develop into their own civilization. They would just kill them all and claim that region for America. Israel has not done that. Many argue they should, but most would consider it some form of genocide. So Israel basically just lets Palestine develop into whatever kind of state they want. And the state they often choose is one to kill Israel. So forcing Israel to, again, occupy.
Sorry, Migzed, hold on. Majoub in the chat, if you start to say stuff like that, we're going to kick you from the room. So refrain from calling for acts of violence or that.
Right. I think you never let them to have their own country, because you don't want to, transfer the power to PA. And without power, they can claim that we have power for their people, and their people cannot accept that they have power. So when you occupy their land, for their people, it seems they have no power to save their country from another country, and you don't want to recognize them as a country. So I think always there are some kind of excuse. And
Javad, they rejected their own sovereignty at many times. When there was the Camp David Accords, they rejected it. Arafat rejected it. When they had the opportunity in 1948 to take their piece of the pie, they rejected it. On every occasion, they've rejected it. And there's only one reason they want to continue this fight. And the reason is very clear. They don't like Jews. They don't like Jews.
They don't want a state run by Jews. They don't want that to be. Definitely not in their backyard.
Yeah, and it is a trap for them, actually. But
it's not a trap.
It's
not a trap. It is a call for repentance. They can be fine with it any day, any fucking day.
Every single time they started war, I know Israel always be a defender. Israel never invade another country. They are not invader, but they are occupiers. I strongly believe that.
No, they're not occupiers. They're protectors. They're protectors.
Not
they're
true.
not occupiers.
1967.
They're protectors and defenders. That's what they are. They protect.
We started the war in 1967. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
By blocking the Red Sea. Egypt started the war.
Not really. Everyone knows. Israel started the war in 1967. Come on. It was a preemptive strike. They call it preemptive strike.
In blocking the Red Sea.
It absolutely is a preventive.
Yeah, but they started the war. I mean,
they didn't. No, they didn't.
Started the war by
if you
blocking the Red Sea.
If you
Ask ChatGPT who started
1967, Egypt blocked the Red Sea. Blocked the Red Sea.
Okay, ask the ChatGPT now. Who started 1967 war?
Okay, that's a loaded question. How about you ask ChatGPT who initiated force first?
Okay, let's ask. I haven't asked this question.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask.
Yeah, I was serious asking this question, and you don't recognize that Israel doesn't exist before May 1948.
So tell me, who was the president of the Palestinian country in 1947? Osama?
I don't have any idea, but the most.
He doesn't have any idea, Molo.
Okay. When was Pakistan? When was Pakistan first?
You're focusing on the wrong point. You know, I asked it.
Tell me when all these countries in the region were established.
Where
were they before? Where was Pakistan before?
Wait, hold on. Everybody stop talking. Soren, so what does ChatGPT say?
It says Israel. I asked the question, which country initiated 1967 war? It says Israel.
Yeah, the context is incorrect. You have the massing of troops on all the borders.
Force first, Soren, and you said that's what you were going to look up. Of course, if you ask who started the war, it's going to answer Israel because the person.
Yes, for sure. This is the truth.
So ask who initiated force first.
Okay.
Because that's a clear distinction.
Who initiated force first? Okay. I'm gonna ask for it.
To the other's land first.
Wait, what are we talking about right now? I'm sorry, I just came back.
Let's not get deviated, but.
And second, what was the conversation about? I'm sorry, I just came back. Yaakov, anyone?
Yes, it was about who started the 67 war, which I think is a red herring, and we shouldn't go down that path.
Wait, red herring to what? What was the previous discussion before the 67?
No,
we were talking about Palestinian state.
It was a discussion about why Israel occupied West Bank.
The West Bank was occupied because Jordan started to attack Israel.
Right. And we told them, don't do that. Don't continue.
And then they abandoned it and have refused any responsibility. No one has ever asked why Jordan has abandoned its citizens and allowed them to identify as Palestinians.
The answer it says Israel initiated 1967 war, also known as the Six-Day War, by launching a preemptive strike on June the 5th, 1967 against Egypt. Israel attacked Egyptian airfields to neutralize.
What does a preemptive strike mean, Soren? Use your fucking brains if you've got any.
Posture, if it's saying it's preemptive. So I mean,
Just to be clear, wait, once again, this is all a red herring. We're talking about right now in Jordan. No, it is a red herring because
Jordan attacked Israel.
Yeah.
Yes.
I understand, but I'm just applying Soren's logic because he's resting his position on ChatGPT, and he's trying to justify that even ChatGPT agrees with me, and then now ChatGPT is saying the opposite of what he was claiming. So
ChatGPT is not the oracle.
Well, I'm just saying Israel started that war. That's all. I'm not saying
but you said it. Then you said even ask ChatGPT. And now ChatGPT is saying it's preemptive.
I can ask why. I can ask why.
This is what you use. You use ChatGPT.
Okay, go ahead. Go right ahead.
No, I understand. You might have a reason to have a preemptive strike. I'm not saying why you did that.
ChatGPT, who blocked the Red Sea?
You might have a reason. Like imagine, like the US invaded Afghanistan.
Egypt. You blocked the Red Sea.
Wait, can we just chill? 1 second. There are too many people here that just want to speak. Can we please?
No, why is nobody double checking his work? Why is nobody double checking his work? Because it's not very hard.
Well, no, what I'm saying is that U.S. invaded Afghanistan.
Hold on.
I'm trying to maintain a room with 4 other mods that don't help me. Please.
It doesn't actually say that Israel started the war, to be very clear. So he's lying. It says the 1960 war. No.
Okay, guys, shut the hell up. Everyone, shut up.
Shut
up.
1960. Wait 1 second. It is correct to say that Israel started the war against Egypt. That's not false to say. I don't know why people.
That's what I said. That's all I said. That's it.
1 second, Soren, chill. Don't be trigger happy after I agree with you. One second. It was a justified preemptive strike, and we can debate about whether or not it is justified or not justified. But it was a red herring. It was a red herring because, as far as I understood, we were talking about the West Bank. When we talked about the West Bank, it was Jordan that started to attack Israel, not the other way around. After Israel already put in a telegraph Hussein 2 times, one in 8 o'clock after the initiation of the strike at 7:30, and one in 11:30 o'clock. Right,
Brody, you're missing the point though, which is even ChatGPT agrees with you. So when Soren sits there and says that ChatGPT says that, like I just looked it up on my ChatGPT, and it says nothing of the sort. So he's like not even coming into the conversation.
ChatGPT is known to give like different answers.
Yes, he is a reflection of you. In Soren's hands, it's a narcissistic mirror that strokes his ego.
You guys are
not an oracle.
Denial. I don't know if you do it on purpose, deliberately, or you're really that dumb.
Denial of what? Why don't you take a screenshot?
Israel initiated the 1967 war. Whether it was a legitimate or not legitimate, that's a different question.
You have
Israel initiated that war. What are you talking about? It was a preemptive war.
Yeah,
you can say
anybody that even ChatGPT can actually.
No, I'm just saying you can make.
No, but I don't understand. I don't understand why people here argue over semantics and disagree about the fact that Israel initiated the war against Egypt.
I completely agree with that. Like,
you agree with that?
I agree with that too.
The issue is that when somebody comes in the room and is saying like one thing over the other, it's like he's just saying like, oh, even ChatGPT doesn't agree. Like, screenshot it. Like, I think he's being insincere in the conversation.
No.
There's no conversation we have. He's being insincere.
Wait, well,
take a screenshot.
Okay, oh my God. Okay, Israel started the war, and what? Like, what's the continuation?
No, because what happened was that, Roddy, because the other guy was saying Israel never ever started any war, and my interjection was, no, it's not true. 1967, it was Israel that started the war.
I said Israel never started war in the history, and
I corrected Javad. I said no, it's not true. 1967. That's all.
No, it's true. They never invaded another country, and if they didn't start that war against Arabian countries would start that war against them. So it's kind of defending activity.
Right. A preemptive war is a military action taken by a country to strike an enemy first, based on the belief that an imminent attack by the enemy is unavoidable. The key element of preemptive war is the anticipation of an immediate threat or aggression action from another state, prompting the country to act to neutralize or mitigate the expected attack before it occurs. The Six-Day War of 1967 is often cited as an example of preemptive war, as Israel launched a surprise attack in Egypt after believing the Arab coalition was about to strike.
Yeah, fair enough. Preemptive war, imminent threat, same argument used in Afghanistan and Iraq.
No. Afghanistan, do you not understand Afghanistan? Afghanistan and Iraq are completely different. If you're going to say something like that, you're stupid. Literally, you had terrorists harboring out of Afghanistan that trained in these camps and sent planes into buildings. You think that was preemptive? The semantics of Soren are completely dumb. Like,
the terrorists that CIA sourced in 1980s to fight with the Soviet.
Okay, we're not going down that path. Okay, we're not going down that path.
You like to see if you see history through these lenses, you're dumb. Do you live in the United States, Soren?
No, of course not. Come on. Let's not
but
go down
I lived
that
long
path.
enough to remember what happened in the 80s. How this Mujahideen was formed to fight with the Russians. I know that.
Do you believe all people
We're not talking about Afghanistan now, please.
Why don't we just move on from Soren? Because it's like it's all he's gonna do is say things that everybody's gonna
Let's hear from Marvin. I think Marvin's got more to contribute than you.
Let's not have personal.
I'm on the train right now.
I actually don't care about the Marvin does have more to contribute to me, but I'm not humble enough to actually understand that he does that. Even if he likes men.
What?
I'm just throwing something out there to see if I can get him.
He's on a train. He can't talk.
But he can smile.
Okay, he'll do emoticons. Hi, Swifty. How are you? Hey, Jay.
How you doing, Jakob?
Welcome back. I'm good. Good. Getting some stuff done at the house.
What's this room actually about today? Like before we got into this stupid nuance thing.
So what was the
Oh, it always turns into the same thing.
Anyone know what the Suez Crisis was?
I am literally just reading.
Yes,
Is that
19.
Who was that? Exactly.
In the 50s, blocking of the Suez Canal, and it was by Egypt. It was taken back by Anglo-Israeli, French forces.
And
very quickly.
America and Britain were involved in that in order to
Yep.
take control of Egypt, which they failed to do.
Well, they wanted the canal. I don't know. They wanted to control Egypt or take over Egypt, as you just mentioned.
That's how Nasser became Nasser, the hero of.
Right, Nasser gained in influence because of England's failed attempt to conquer Egypt, or as it was described.
Correct, described, but not. It was never Egypt's intent. They just wanted commerce to flow through.
But why was Israel involved?
You know, it really sucked to live in Egypt right now, let's be honest. Anybody that lives in Egypt, we should just have pity for.
Have you guys
Well,
heard
they should revive their hieroglyphics. They would do better.
Have you guys heard the former Israeli spy Jonathan Pollard on the newly disclosed pre-October the 7th Hamas documents?
What
did he say?
Would you be interested to listen to the first 5 minutes?
This is.
Can you give us a summary?
Yeah, just give us a summary. And then
Well, it's actually quite interesting what came out of it in terms of the aspirations of Hamas.
Their plans?
I want to just address briefly Michael's question. Israel was involved because their shipping was being blocked by the Egyptians at the Straits of Tiran, a bunch of islands that are at the end of the where the Red Sea and what's the ship? Excuse me, my brain isn't working. There's Eilat, the sea from Eilat to
the Straits of Tiran.
The Straits of but that's the Straits. But what's the name of the sea? That the northern boundary is Eilat, and the southern part is the Red Sea. It's the Gulf of Aqaba. There we go.
Okay.
So Israel's being denied access to their southern port by Egypt. They were blocking Israel's ships. Well, they had a vested interest, and the other group said, Israel, okay, you want to join in on this because you have a vested interest, and they took care of all. At the same time, I believe they took care of the vessels blocking the Straits of Tiran as well as participating.
Okay, so you're saying that England and America were the primary belligerents in the Suez Crisis? They wanted to take control of the waterways?
I wouldn't say. I got to do more. I'm working off.
I'm trying to understand. It sounds like you're saying they wanted some kind of strategic improvement on.
No. They just wanted the ships to flow through.
That's what I'm saying. But why was it impeded for the Brits and the U.S. to use that?
Because it was international commerce, and we and the Brits at the time were like pretty much world powers, and we could like throw our weight around. I think it's like we were the big dogs in town.
Okay, and so then
Britain was in the halo of its colonial empire in that area, right?
So then they asked the local Western-friendly country, Israel, if they would donate a bit of support, because, hey, we could deal with that problem of you not getting your ship, which could choke your country to death.
Yeah, well, in the Straits of Tiran, yes, that was a problem, and internationally for world
so
powers,
you're saying Israel had like a modest agreement with world powers messing with Egypt's waterway.
Yeah, look, it worked its way. It was an Israel
It worked for
advantage.
Israel.
Yeah.
It worked perfect for Israel. Israel got all of its objectives met. America and England failed.
And remember, this is in the backdrop of the Soviets arming Egypt. So it was a warm version of the Cold War. Like, you have, except for the French, you have the two powers.
The war to come in 1967.
Yeah, I mean, you have this, the Soviets are arming Nasser. He's, becoming uppity, and someone's got to slap him around a little bit.
Right, I hear you.
Right? Does that make sense?
No, I get it. But also, Israel was in a crisis. From the rest of the world, maybe they mostly remember it as an embarrassment to the U.S. and Britain. But from Israel's perspective, they were being strangled to death with the port being cut off.
And I think the canal was owned by an Anglo-British company, and Nasser nationalized
he claimed
that
it.
was, he's like, this is ours.
He just walked in and
I mean, think about all the toll revenue. The toll revenue was substantial. Plus, there was this whole notion you just can't take
Robert
shit.
Moses conquered New York.
Yeah, you just can't take shit. You just, you don't, you have, if he wanted to nationalize it, he would have to compensate the owners. Which,
there'd be a way to do it. And
yeah, there would be, but he didn't.
Plan.
There would be, but he just said, it's mine.
He didn't acknowledge any of the prior ownership and development of the region.
Right.
No, I hear you.
And I believe Israel struck first. Israel, I think then, a couple days later, the British and French said, "Oh, we got to get in on this." So I don't think it was coordinated as well as one may believe.
Guys, I'm really curious about what's your opinion about the consequence of this war.
Which one?
This conflict in Gaza, and Lebanon, everything.
That's a good question.
There's one big one that
what's that?
Gaza. Oh yeah, the big one is that
Iran
has lost. Iran has lost an incredible amount of strength and looks very weak right now. And they caught the bus. The dog caught the bus, and they're very much mistaken for it. If you want to look at what's happened to an axis of evil in the last year, I mean, just look at the amount of terrorists that we've killed. I should say Israel has just killed the amount of terrorists. Israel has actually taken blood for American things that happened to America in the 80s. I mean, this is great. This should let everybody in the free world or the real know the free world will come back and kill you if you decide to kill innocent people.
I think Philip's point kind of comments on what I was saying. He's liking the dominance Israel is showing in the region militarily. And I would say that does show this new phase of Israel's point that Roddy and I were talking about, that politically, in the party system, it's getting more right-wing. It's getting more like a right-wing conservative American would say, yeah, that's what you do with the military, right? And that's a different style of Israel. Israel, let's remember, was founded by lefty socialists that were also fighting for their lives and running from several different genocides and ethnic cleansings, right? So those people were a ragtag army of socialistic idealists that were speaking Hebrew through forced brainwashing, right? That's the starters of the state. And it was much, for the elder statesmen of today, they're the lefty guys that were raised by those guys, right? Now, the eras of politics we're moving into is younger, more aggressive, like Ben Shapiro types speaking Hebrew, gaining power in Israel. And that's a different type of state. It's a more conservative, from an American perspective, type of democracy. I don't know.
Well, I mean, when you have the dog catch the bus, right? Like, it's going to be, there's be consequences for it. You know, I don't think people realize that. I think people thought that Israel would respond. I really don't think first of all, I don't think Iran knew that the October 7th would be as successful as it was. And I don't think they understood that. I also think that basically caused Israel to respond in kind, saying we can't tolerate that.
It allowed them to war.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, right fast. Israel's not perfect, but at the end of the day, they basically, through this aggression, they're showing what their neighbors look like. The only neighbor Israel has that they can do anything with right now is Egypt, and everybody else is basically plundered to Iran. So I mean, it's going to be interesting. I mean, when the Lebanon war ends, it'll be very interesting to see what the cleanup looks like.
Right.
And I think everybody's a little bit in the dark.
To me, the big question is what's going to happen when they attack Iran, because it feels like America is giving them a blank check. Even the world understands that Iran has.
I'll tell you what's going to happen. Donald Trump's going to become president when they attack Iran. It's as simple as that.
You think it's going to be like a campaign move? It's going to be an October surprise?
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Like, it's going to be Donald Trump flying in a plane.
Yeah, and then Donald Trump will claim the fact that Israel attacked Iran because of him. And boom. He's in the president's seat. Bingo.
Okay. All right. Thank you, South Africa.
Yeah.
I think if Donald Trump becomes president, after that he will make a contract with Russia to
The greatest attack one has ever seen. Be the greatest attack you've ever seen. The best
Can
attack ever.
I ask people to not encourage Donald Trump from outside our borders because he already has a big enough ego. I'd appreciate if you just hate him like the rest of the world.
Peace be
Just
upon
need
him.
a little bit more consistency.
Peace be upon him. He'll be the next president.
Oh my gosh, you guys have no idea what you're wishing upon its citizens.
Honestly, Philip, don't worry. Like, from my gut as a New Yorker, the smart money's on Harris.
I know, but I'm not voting for her either. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, no, she's not good. I'm just saying it's not going to be Trump. I don't think.
Except the rest of the world is struggling with this leadership thing that we're struggling with.
The words smart money and Harris have never been uttered in the same sentence before, and will never be again.
Welcome to Vegas, baby.
Philip, PTR, please, and then tell me if you think this is good. This is smart. Is this smart?
I don't know.
Great opportunity for black men. I don't know. Does anybody believe?
Yeah, that sounds like standard democracy, machine making, support us, get the vote out, bullshit.
Let me give you.
You think this is standard democracy?
Yes, that is standard fucking playbook.
What if it was grants for white businesses?
Yeah, that's fine.
That wouldn't get as many votes.
Yeah, let me give you something real fast, like that. The idea that
Honestly, that would be actually really funny as counter programming. Get some
Oh my god, my
really
cat.
odious
Let
things
him
supporting
talk,
Trump.
dude. You're speaking over everyone.
Let's start fast. Donald Trump says disgusting things too. Like I'm
Soren, oh my
best
God, look at
president that's ever
Soren.
been for black folks. Look at the
What are you doing here, sir? Why don't you just go to the other room and listen there?
Nobody loves the Bible more than me.
Well,
it's like
those are superlative, ironic statements that are meant to.
You're just placating.
It's not policy. Does Donald Trump have
my whole life? I
grants
can tell you,
for? Would it be okay to have a grant for white men only?
I don't think you understand this country so well, guys.
I think you're missing it. Like, to be honest with you, and like this was helps. Like, I have friends that are black that have no issues with this. That think that black men need to have a lot of health insurance. I also have friends that are
The
black
Dems have
that
made a
think
million
it's horrible.
proposals like that.
Yeah.
I
the bottom line is
racist.
like.
I mean, the
bottom line
It is fucking racist. And
It is racist. It is racist, but here's the issue you face right now. Is political politics is roiled the United States for the last 40 years. And at this point, any idea that we have where we're teaching our kids to judge people based on the character of their skin is what I grew up with. And I think that's pretty much gone in the United States at this point. People are going back to their identity.
Well, that's bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all bad, but you know what the issue is? It's not politics that's creating it. Like, politics is downstream from culture. Have you ever heard that before?
It's a dog-eat-dog world out there, man. It's very funny to see Harris's husband come out and give his 60 minutes on Trump.
You have to change the culture. You have bad leadership right now. Like, name one idiot, please. Oh my gosh, here comes the. If you use Kennedy as an example, just please drop me on my head and oh my guy. Who is the best leader right now in politics in this country that can unify the country? Name somebody.
Well, I don't know if you're going to like my answer.
Romney.
I mean, okay, I am the biggest Donald Trump hater. I am the biggest Donald Trump hater you have ever met. Okay?
Yeah, but you're also the gayest hater, so it doesn't count.
Yeah, see, those two things, like on the teeter mill, just there's equilibrium there. There's no leverage on
No, but I'm being sincere. I mean, I think...
What do you hate about Donald Trump?
You let me finish.
I hate a lot of things.
We're on Clown House wasting our lives, so nobody let me finish my sentence.
Philip, what about Romney?
Rodney King.
Yeah, Romney.
Romney could unify 5 years ago, not anymore.
Romney is a wooden board. Romney looks like
hold on.
a board of lumber that you
come on. If you're going to have a conversation, let's please.
You didn't like that?
No, it's not that I didn't like it. It just doesn't. It's not.
It's not constructive.
That's my way of saying he's boring and unelectable.
Well, then just say that.
All right, he's very boring. I think.
Okay, I don't think boring is a criteria that is required to unify the country.
My point of saying that I am a big Donald Trump hater or a former Trump hater is that it may be difficult and this may be a bad answer, but I think that if we could enhance critical thinking in the culture, we may be able to see that Trump or a Trump-like character would be the one to unify the country, because I am a Trump hater.
No, the question, you're not answering the question. You're not answering Philip's question.
His question was, who do I think should unify?
Okay, so
my answer is Trump. First answer.
Okay, so you say Trump. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think that is true.
All right, we can
based upon
that's answer A. Have you ever heard of ranked choice voting?
Trust me. Yeah, listen. You don't need to go too far. You just say the words, and I'll understand them.
Right. So ranked choice voting. That's my first.
Okay, so I understand that. Again, there you go. I understand when you first said it, but if you want to explain it to me a third time, I'd be happy to listen.
Okay. I think actually, he's kind of showing the point I have on this one right now. When I ask that question sincerely, and somebody comes back with Donald Trump,
that is a sincere answer.
Let me finish what I'm saying. I didn't say it was unsincere. I said that's the issue that we're facing. If you actually honestly think that, if you don't understand how other people think of Donald Trump, and there's not this what if.
But I thought that way about Donald Trump.
That's fine. Let me finish really fast. The issue you face is that you can think that. That's fine. You're not honestly thinking about the rest of the country and what they think.
I am 24 hours a day. 12.
Well, if you say Donald Trump is he can actually unite the country, like we have
elections. That's my answer A. We can go to answer B.
There's no way Donald Trump will ever have an electoral victory like Ronald Reagan had. Ronald Reagan will be the last president in my lifetime to actually get past the 50% marker in the country. And I don't think people, if you really look at the 50%, and I'm talking about the 50% marker, like polling, including results, you get into the 60s and 70% like Ronald Reagan did to actually win an election. We're past those days at this point. Everybody's fine.
No, respectfully, my answer was sincere. We can move away from Donald Trump.
That's fine that your answer's sincere.
No, it's fine. Let me move away. We'll move away. Well,
but hold on, let me finish.
I thought you were finished. All right.
Well, you interrupted me. So when you look at these different things, and Mixed, I think you're saying no, that's not true. Like Mixed, who do you think would unify the party where you could actually get 60%?
No, don't give it to Mixed. He's going to go off.
No, Mixed's good. He's smart.
Well, okay.
He's actually
First of all,
before we go to Mixed Land, can I just make my last point, which is brief, which is just that you said yourself politics is downstream of culture. So the appeal of Donald Trump or a Trump-like figure is to support the notion that I think young Americans are moving away from seeing politicians as leaders. And I think the ideal president would be, if not Donald Trump, I can't think of it, if not RFK, then it probably would be a cultural leader. And the presidency in America would transform more into a figurehead like
So you don't have any
Queen of
names?
England.
You don't have any names?
Well, it's Mixed's turn, but I'll think of some names.
Okay, so in terms of the question, who could unite the Republicans, I do mostly...
No, the country.
The country?
Who could unite the country?
Correct.
Well,
okay,
what about
Oprah? First it was posed as who could unite the Republican Party, in which case I thought the
No, he said country. And he said
if you want to say
you can't say RFK.
Listen, the thing is that America, in my opinion, is a slow, cantankerous, 1760s, Rube Goldbergian democratic bureaucracy with multiple offshoots and powers and nooks and crannies because it was developed in the 1760s. And I think that because of that, let me back up a little. Democratic institutions are representations of their culture at all times. Every person that sits in those buildings represents our culture, and it does a good job. But they are very old, which means they mostly represent a certain segment of our culture from a certain era of our country's history. And that is the mechanism of democracy. And because it's a slow, cantankerous 1760s device, the old guys know how it works a lot better. And they have those nooks and crannies borne out. And we are mostly waiting turns in the way that we've developed our little pyramids of distinct political positions. Republican and Democrat, This guy waits a turn. Trump was exciting because he cut the line, ignored it. Republicans in general don't like the idea of there being a line. They like throwing it to a free vote more than the Democrats. But the Democrats are churning through their choices. I think we're in this will be the third iteration of some form of Obama's presidency, I guess. Which is okay.
All right, I thought of two names.
Okay, so in my opinion, they're currently divided because the political issues are distinctive enough and people are fat and happy and healthy enough to just whine about the same things and dislike each other. The thing that would unite America, and it probably would happen, that would trigger it, would be a true military conflict of some kind.
Wait,
I don't see that happening.
Once again, a moderation point. Did someone here blocked M?
No,
I
did
not.
not.
It would have to be
not.
a moderator, right? Keeps me out of the room.
No, did someone block M, the person that was in my room, that is new to Clubhouse?
I did not.
I don't
You
believe
did not.
I
But
did.
it could
I
have
don't
been.
usually block people.
It could have been Yamama.
Who is this? Because it has to be a moderator.
remember the
Can
last
you
time I
can
blocked
you
someone.
put the link to the profile in the chat?
Can you raise your hand if you block people? I'm just curious how many people block people.
No.
Yeah, I do block some people.
No, I block a lot of people, but okay.
I don't know.
She's
Just
in my
put
friends list.
the profile
So-
link in the chat and we can check, but it has to be
Okay,
a mod.
one second.
All right, I've got two names. You want to hear my names?
No, I don't care about your names.
Thanks, y'all.
So what I'm saying is that they're churning through choices, and I think they're going to stay divided because of the 17th
Well, this is a
dividing.
non-answer.
No, I'm saying that I'm saying America is
let's get
choosing
some
division
names.
because they don't have any issues they care about very much
that's-
because that's
yeah,
the design of the
political.
place.
So it's funny. It's kind of funny, right? Here's a way I can show you why I think America's so divided that it's kind of interesting. Okay, take Elon Musk probably 7 years ago before he really waited.
All right, that was going to be one of my names.
The left loved Elon Musk, but now we're so divided that they used to love his ideas because they were innovative and he was this entrepreneur. He would say things that warm their hearts, and he still says the exact same things, except he caveats that there's other parts of the country that may not feel the same way that should be excluded from the party. But now they hate him, and that's the issue you have is that the two sides don't really care about ideas anymore. They just hate each other. And everybody talks about the moderate vote's the only thing that counts. No, the moderate vote we've already proven is people that say they're moderate, but when the election comes, they go back home and they vote for the same people they voted for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And this is all proven. There's no such thing as
we want to
moderate.
stay divided right now. That's what America likes.
What about
Rush Limbaugh made the point, and he was right. There's no such thing as a moderate. And I don't see anybody right now in the leadership of the country that's able to get past the polarization of what it was. And I mean, the greatest way you can look at this is, and this is such a great example. Donald Trump is saying the same stuff Donald Trump has said for years, other than maybe abortion. He's basically saying the exact same thing, and the left hates him. But they didn't hate him until he actually ran as a Republican, and they hate somebody with the other side. So I mean, and you can say the same thing about the right as well.
Because you have to realize that the vote is for inaction.
Yeah, that's what I said. And our country is deeply
Think of the layers of insurance we have to make sure that we don't have a fully functional king. We've got a president with no legislative power. Within that legislative power, we divide it into two separate houses, and we gain control by both of our parties so that either one, if we have power in it, nothing gets done. That is an insurance policy so that in America, we do whatever the fuck we want because our government is weak as fuck.
That's
It's actually, and then you build the same, and then you build the same type of system into states, and the same thing happens. And that's why you look at New York.
Muck it up lower and lower. Do whatever you want. Merchants rule here.
Yep. Anyways, I just think it's interesting because
sorry to interrupt again.
Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt again.
You're good. Go ahead.
I posted the link of the person. Please, everyone, click on this link and tell me if you blocked this person because I don't want to
Just the
move
mod
down people.
to click on the link, Roddy, because no one else is. Only when you're a mod, your blocking this works. And no, I don't.
I have no problem if you blocked her, but just,
No, I don't. I don't know.
Audience,
First time I see her.
Okay, I don't think it was you. It's either Pomalo. Pomalo, did you block her?
I don't have this person.
Mariam, maybe just send her the link to the room because sometimes it's just not visible. So maybe just send her the link to the room.
Did you ever take the show person? Really does this a lot.
She messaged me. She said, "Oh, the conversation was good. It just closed." And I said, "It's not closed. We're still there." So either she was like removed or blocked, because that's the only
Maybe she
reason
was
that would
kicked
happen.
out.
Yeah.
And I have also noticed that a lot of people are disappearing from the chat. Is anybody kicking out people? Because that's not really cool.
Usually, when somebody is like if somebody is removed from the room or blocked, either one, because blocking is automatic removal. But usually, when that happens, it deletes all of their comments from the chat.
That's what I mean, and that's why I wanted to ask. And I already asked Norm, but Pumalu, are you deleting comments or kicking out people?
I just want to make one comment towards what's going on in the room. This is what happens with power. People abuse it. I'm just saying, this is a great example.
That's an American
This is
sensibility.
what happens when you let women be a moderator.
Look, this is pretty easy, right? One of the mods would say that they're.
This is the reason
I don't know
why
why a
I
mod
like
would
to
be
keep
scared.
it just to a very, very small number
it sounds
of
like a
people
glitch.
that are
It sounds like
mods
she glitched
because they already
It's
know
not a
how we
glitch.
do the things. But
why would a mod not?
Okay, she says that the room is no longer available. So
yeah, well, somebody kicked her out.
either someone kicked her out.
I've had that
one
glitch
second.
before, guys.
I have a question to the mods, just a question to the mods about what's going on. Why are you so insecure with somebody that you don't like? That's just my only question. Please don't kick me.
I don't, and actually, that is one of my only rules in this house is nobody gets kicked unless you do a call for violence. You can move anyone to the audience if you want, but do not kick out people.
Or
but
if
people
you
don't
say
understand
the
that, and they
N-word.
start kicking out people.
Or if you say the N-word, unless if you're Issa,
Yeah, but because
if you're
you
Issa
are
can say the
you
N-word,
are
but
attacking
nobody
someone
else can say
directly,
it.
and I'm not gonna have that on stage.
Yeah, and there's like all this hostility is coming out right in this room. It is amazing. I actually
But
will
anyway.
say something.
What hostility?
I had this conversation with you. Issa, you actually changed quite a bit. I think you used to kick me out of rooms all the time when I was first on
I
the app.
never kicked people out of rooms.
Yeah,
Unless I really hate you. And actually, I was the only one. Shut up, Ishmael. I was the only one actually defending you in the retard rooms because nobody liked you there. And I did hard time conversations with you, so you could have been any of the other people.
But ever since the clubhouse is like I don't know, like mushed together, it's been great. You've become one of my favorite people. See how things can change in life.
Yeah, I know.
Issa is everybody's favorite person.
Oh, thank you.
Except for your
That's bullshit, but anyway.
No,
You
Issa's
know,
my
I
favorite
wanted
person.
to bring up something related to Israel, and actually, well, I wish that Daniel was back. I hope he gets on today, as he promised, but let's see. But there is something that is being thrown at me over the past couple of days, and it kind of like caught me by surprise, but is it really is triggering me. So
It wasn't
my country, Guatemala, it has, well, we went through a civil war for a few decades that started probably in the 1940s, 1950s, something like that. There were insurrection attempts against my government, and so the response from my government in order to keep these people in line was really brutal, but there were these guerrillas in the jungle and whatever, and they were making a lot of acts of terrorism. Why did Roy leave this? I need him for this, for fuck's sake. Anyway, thing is that it was the whole Cold War thing happening, and the U.S. Took away certain support from Guatemala, as a lot of these international organizations. Oh, he opened another room. Wait.
Oh, to deal with the block.
Yeah.
What's up, good Max Zed?
Are we supposed to? Is this mean we're supposed to go over to that room, or what's going on?
I don't know. Kind of depends what type of person you are, I guess.
Well, it's okay. I do find oh yeah, Mixed, are you just making your profile like that because it's fun, or is there like something that means? Does that mean something?
Yeah, I'm in mourning. My father passed away.
Are you messing with me, or is that really
I'm
true?
sorry to hear that.
That's true.
Oh man, I'm really sorry about that, Mixed.
It happened about a month ago.
How you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Was he sick?
He had been dealing with diabetes for a long time. I think it was mostly while he was in recovery from a triple bypass. I think that was too much for him.
Jeez, that's
you guys the second person that's died from triple bypass.
It is a risky procedure. It's not.
It is tons risky.
Damn, they kicked me, or they shut the room down, probably.
I love it.
And Roddy also.
And this is why.
That was easy.
Just to keep it to the mods that are admins and leaders in the club. I don't have anything against Miriam, but I have also heard that she kicks out people.
I don't want to name any
do that.
names.
Not
But
I am going to name.
No, I'm going. Can I would like to name a name before he gets in the room.
Can I
shut up,
please respond to
Khumalo.
And this is the reason why I'm just saying it, so that we avoid dealing or having new interactions with people that do not know.
Can I just
how to
say one
interact
thing?
in our room.
Can I just say?
Can I please respond to Issa, please, real quick?
Sure, but
Issa,
can I go next?
I don't. It's up to Issa and brother. Listen, I respect you and I respect your space, and I would never kick people out. And there's 2 times that I had to remove somebody from a room, and it had nothing to do with the subject matter. It was behavior. And it was only because it was also friends of friends room where you couldn't move them to the audience, and they were very disruptive. So I generally don't, and I defer to whatever. If it makes you comfortable, you can remove me to the audience and
It's
bring
okay.
me back
Listen,
up.
if Rolly trusts you, I trust you. All I'm saying is
Can
please
I
do not
say-
kick people out.
I do that.
Move anyone you want to the audience, but please don't keep people out because sometimes people just come in the rooms, and I have had that. Like people come in rooms. They kick people out and then they leave the room. So they leave us without the people they weren't comfortable with, and then they're not anymore.
Can I just say one thing?
If our room is being irrational,
It's okay.
The gorilla.
I just wanted to explain, guys. Hey guys, I just wanted to explain.
Oh, what's your number?
Like how I don't kick people out. It's just it was that very, very one singular time where there were a couple of people disrupting and not respecting the mods, saying, hey, don't talk over each other. Wait, please don't talk over each other. And it was a friends of friends, you know. So it wasn't a house.
Yeah, it's okay.
So I just wanted to explain that I don't move people, but again, you can move me down and bring me up as a regular speaker.
If Rolly
No.
I'm no one to subvert Rolly.
On the relevance of my statement.
Okay, shut up, Ishmael, for one
Can I just say
second.
something?
You said
Oh my God, such a testosterone-full room. Go ahead, Issa.
May I share what I was sharing in the other room because I want your take.
Yeah.
And sorry if it takes a little bit long, but I need to explain. So in the past couple of days, a lot of people, Palestinian supporters, have been throwing these arguments at me. And I was very surprised, and it's actually triggering me. So in the 1940s, 1950s, my country went through a few decades of internal conflict. We had a civil war. These were people that were insurrectionists that were trying to bring the government down, and the government responded to them very brutally, but they had to keep them in line. These people were making a lot of acts of terrorists. These people were communists and Marxists that wanted to bring the government down. So the whole Cold War was happening, and the ICJ got involved in the conflict of my country and whatever. Even the US and other countries retired the support from Guatemala because of potential issues, in the international arena. Israel was one of the only countries that were supportive of the government of Guatemala, and they started helping us, by providing us with weapons that other countries didn't want to help us with, and just were taking them away from us, while our government was being brought down by communists, and a lot of people were dying. Now, people got caught in the middle of the conflict. So just like a normal terrorist, like we're seeing with Hamas, they were inserting themselves in indigenous places in the outskirts of the bigger city, and they were using them and training them, like by telling them lies and giving them weapons to fight the government. So this caused a lot of indigenous people to die. But now the narrative has also been back in the day that there was a genocide committed in my country. But this is all bullshit, because this war was not caused or intended to do any ethnic cleansing, but it was meant to defend or to be a contra-insurgent war. And now what is being thrown is that, did you hear that Israel participated in the genocide in Guatemala while they were trying to do ethnic cleansing in Guatemala as well? This is the reason why they are so close to each other, because Guatemala wanted to get rid of the native indigenous, and Israel helped them with that genocide too. And so all these Palestinians are using this argument now on X, trying to demonize even more Israel, like how dare they participate in another genocide. This is proof that they're evil. So have you heard about that, and what do you think about it?
No, I haven't. And if you have any article about that, I'd gladly make a reading room, talking specifically about this article. Maybe even now, if you want to.
And actually, Guatemala, if you guys don't know, they were the first ones, only after the U.S., to recognize the state of Israel internationally. So I don't know why. I mean, somebody must have been doing some sort of research on the relations that Israel has got with other countries, and they found my country. But it's just unnerving to me, because it's like, my country suffered a lot with that. Like over 200,000 people died in that internal conflict. Even people from my family were murdered by these terrorists that were insurgents. And so now that people are just taking this to weaponize and bastardize what actually happened in a third world country, in a little country that nobody cares about, just to demonize Israel, is just like unnerving, It's like we have nothing to do with it.
Well, Issa, you gotta remember, Franklin Roosevelt, they were supplying Guatemala's government, right? The U.S. was supplying Guatemala's government with weapons. And Roosevelt, after seeing the conflict, was like, we cannot be supportive or part of this whatsoever. And that's when Israel stepped in, right? That's when Israel kept supplying them with weapons. That's why people are, still condemning Israel for this. And this because Guatemala was the first country.
No, of course it's not because
Israel was recognized.
Guatemala was the first country. But you guys are making up the stories that Israel had got some sort of evil purpose in their lives, that they went to Guatemala to help with the genocide. First of all, that genocide never happened. It was not a genocide. It was a war.
Well, you can call it a war, and I agree.
Ethan, what would you say is the background of the conflict in Guatemala that Israel got involved in?
This was a period. I don't know if she wants to explain, but this was a period.
Well, she's from there.
Yeah.
Do we do breaking news here, or?
Yes, you got something.
Breaking news from.
According to Israeli sources, the United States has informed Israel that it will cut all arms supplies if Israel doesn't immediately send aid into Gaza.
What?
Yay! Yes.
According to who?
I know.
Who is announcing that?
According to who?
Where is it from? Where is it? In Ynet, in Reuters? Where do you?
Kan 11.
Kan 11. Oh, Kan 11. Okay. Kan 11, by the way.
Is that a legitimate news source?
Is it the raw man?
No, it is a reliable news source.
Yeah. Mariam, I'm so happy.
In Gaza. This is the.
What is Israel's profit from getting into Gaza?
This is nonsense.
I'm asking.
Israel's constantly providing. We just We just vaccinated almost 1 million kids.
Okay,
This
so
is
then
a
what are
joke.
they asking us to let in?
Yeah, it's just a symbolic thing. We're constantly.
So it's a
No,
nonsense
no,
statement?
no.
No.
Yes,
Okay, the polio vaccines, the polio vaccines, the polio, well, wait.
Wait.
The
No
polio
one interrupts her. No one interrupts her. No one
The
interrupts her.
polio vaccines campaign was only done after IDF found out two soldiers that were identified with the new polio, but because they were already vaccinated in Israel, this is when they found out there is about to be an eruption. Now, this is a non-vaccine derived strain of polio, meaning it's a naturally occurring strain, which means an entire brigade of IDF soldiers and the rest that came in after that were also vaccinated. Israel did not do this because of the kindness of its heart. It did it because it actually endangered the population within Israel. There is still
That is
plenty
incorrect.
epidemics
That is
raging around
false.
Gaza.
Yeah, that's false.
Okay, it's false.
No, it's not. You can literally read it on
No, it
Israel
isn't.
media.
So, Em, are you? Tell us where you stand before you sit.
You know, you vaccinate children and you're doing wrong. It's to fight cancer.
I'm not saying
If
you're
you
doing
give
it wrong, but you don't get to claim it. You don't get to claim it as a humanitarian act done by the Chinese Party.
100%.
They did it. They didn't do it because they care about. They didn't do it because they care about the children in Gaza. They did it because they care about the idea of soldiers in the population of Israel.
Actually, Norm,
You
can
do
I
not
ask,
know why they
Norm,
did
can
it.
I ask a question that's really easy? Can I just ask a question that's really easy? Can two things be true at one time?
No.
No, only
Yeah.
her fantasy of other people's intention
Norm,
is true.
shut up and let me ask her a question.
Philip, you asked a question. Philip,
I asked
shut
her
up.
a question. Your name's not
That's
Em.
fine. That's fine. Everybody can talk, Philip. You don't
Yeah,
need to
so I want to
go.
ask her a question. She's gone
You
now
asked
because
her.
you.
Good.
No, she's there. Em, are you
I'm
there?
here.
Em, can two things be true at one time? You just answer that question.
Yes, but that's not. That
Okay.
has
Well,
nothing
let me
to do
ask
with
you.
it.
Let me ask you. So that's great. So is
Called
it
a non
possible that
sequitur.
Israel? Is it possible that Israel vaccinates kids because they care about kids, and at the same time cares about the safety of their soldiers?
No, because
Is
we
that
actually
possible?
tracked the events, and we know that it was done
Okay.
because they were.
Who is we?
Okay.
Who is
They
we?
did it on purpose.
Who is-
It caused the
who is-
polio.
Who is we, please?
Okay, we have a group of friends. One of them happens to be a neuroscientist researcher.
Who is
And
that?
I happen to have,
Neuroscience.
I happen to have
Neuroscientists can't do
wait,
masters or
wait,
doctorates in more
I happen
complicated
to have
fields, so
some
they
background
just.
in genetic engineering, and I do know a little bit about virology and about microbiology.
Are you
I
a
can pick up.
biologist? Are you a
I can-
biologist?
I can,
No,
I
Philip,
can,
no, don't.
I can bring up.
No.
I
Wait,
can-
one second. Hisham, please, no one interrupts him when she's speaking, okay?
I can
Again,
bring
no
up
one interrupts
the
her.
meaning. I can bring up the thread that we created in order to address the polio vaccine situation, and we actually did it because there were insane claims from the pro-Palestinian side that Israel is using it as some sort of a biological weapon. So we did the research in order to debunk that. But at the same time, Israel did not vaccinate the children in Gaza out of the kindness of their hearts or because they care about them.
Yeah.
If they cared about the children in Gaza, there's a whole lot more that needs to be done.
You're not answering my
Including
question.
including addressing
I don't want to move people down. Please continue.
with viral hepatitis, including addressing that. So the polio, although I am grateful for it, was not done because they care about the population in Gaza. I'm happy it happened, but let's not fool ourselves into thinking it was done because of that. This is not two things happening simultaneously.
How could you
It
possibly
happens
know
only-
the intention?
Hold up,
Could you
Norm.
possibly know the
Norm,
intention of
let
the
me do
Well,
this
I'm
a little
also
bit. This is
asking.
yeah. You can wait a minute.
I
This is
can't
this
know
is easy.
it, but I
You-
did make a
you-
logical
you-
deduction.
Exactly right.
Okay.
None of you should be interrupting.
Yeah. So let me just ask Em. Are you a virologist, Em?
Myself, no.
Okay. And then where would I look for independent research on this to actually confirm what you're saying?
I don't
Or
know
am I
if
just
there
supposed to
is.
take your
I
word?
don't know if there is.
So
any,
you
I
basically-
don't know if there is any, but I can tell you that I worked on it with a friend who is a neuroscience researcher who
And what's
does
what's their
do
name?
medical research.
What's their name?
I'm not going to tell you her name. I'm not
Her
going to
friend
dox her.
told.
She's an ex.
Okay. So
I can
you really,
send you the
okay.
I can send you the thread that we made in order to debunk the pro-Palestinians claiming this is a biological weapon.
Okay, so all I'm going to basically say at this point is that your opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. You've done nothing to substantiate your claim. And at the end of the day,
well, when they can manipulate or control you, they smear you.
You're interrupting me.
Congratulations, you've just proven your ignorance and your
wait, don't, בבקשה, אני אתן לך את הזמן לדבר, אבל תנו את הזמן לדבר עכשיו.
Is that for me? Okay, I'm sorry. No, my issue with this is I gave you a chance. I gave you a chance to kind of explain where this is coming from, not just a position of authority. I didn't call you an asshole. I didn't say anything. I said opinions are like assholes, and right now all you have is an opinion. And to me, it's not worth going in and talking about this right now because your opinion is nothing because you're not actually making any substantial claims that would make me look at this seriously.
What is the vaccine derived?
She already admitted that she has no idea what the other people
what is the vaccine derived? What is the vaccine derived strain? Wait, what is the vaccine
idea of intention onto somebody else? The problem is with you, not with the Israelis.
Yeah. So before I'm not going to have any more conversations until you actually lay some claims. Otherwise, it's just an opinion.
What is your claim? Your opinion.
It's an opinion.
You also wait. Do you have anything more than an opinion? Before you criticize mine, what do you have that is not an opinion?
What do I have that's not an opinion? Facts, research, journalism.
Where is it? Yes. What are your facts in your research?
What is it? We can look at the actual Institute of the War.
What is the vaccine derived strain?
We can look at the War College in the United States that studied the Israeli war that says this is the most humane war that any country has ever fought. That's the War College of the United States. They're a legitimate source? Do you think that's a legitimate source
John
or not?
Spencer is scared of me.
All right. I don't think. I think at the end of the day, I think at the end of the day, you don't want to take any sources.
John Spencer sat on an interview claiming that Al-Mawasi. Wait, Philip. Let's deal with this. Philip. Hold on. You're referencing John Spencer. John Spencer sat on an interview claiming that Al-Mawasi was the humanitarian zone and that Israel never bombed, nor did he evacuate. Hold on. What was the reasoning he gave? What was the reasoning he gave?
I've actually got to go.
What was the reasoning he gave for Israel designating Al-Mawasi as the humanitarian zone?
You're changing the subject.
No, I'm not. I'm not. You said this is. You are quoting John Spencer. Then I am referencing one of his most basic claims, and you don't even know the facts. Then I will teach you. What John Spencer says is that Al-Mawasi was designated the humanitarian.
1 second. What is going on here? I can't moderate the room every single second. I'm doing all other stuff. Miriam, if you want to, you can mod other people to help you moderate. Just please, because I'm doing also other stuff. Can you please just make it fun?
I am at this point. I am trying to observe who M is and how she interacts with other people. But yeah, it would be good if you guys can, instead of talking over each other, you can speak to each other. And also, if we are focusing on one topic, let's stay on that topic. Let's exhaust that topic. Let's not go from one place to the other because then it makes it very difficult for everyone else to follow.
Can I suggest that
Philip, you wanted to say, hold on. Philip, you wanted to say something to Anne while she was talking. Philip.
Only a person with a very dark heart could attribute evil intentions to something so noble as vaccinating children. You'd have to be pretty twisted to do that. It's really a sick thing to do.
Well, I'm trying to understand your reasoning. You're saying that Israel, that you agree did give vaccines to the children, did not do it out of humanitarian aims. They only did it out of some other aim. What is that other aim, and why do you think it's more compelling of an explanation than humanitarian aids, which would be the usual reason people give vaccines? But
so on June 27th,
and what is your evidence?
Was the first publication that came out on Israel media that there is a problem with polio spread in the Gaza Strip. About a month after that was the first brigade that was vaccinated against that specific strain. That is when it was made obvious that we have a problem and we need to address it. And not because Israel was concerned about the Gaza population, but because because it was concerned about the Israeli population and the IDF soldiers. So all I'm saying, I'm not in any way demonizing the vaccine operation. I'm glad it happened, but let's not fool ourselves that it was done for the benefits of the children in Gaza. It was done for the benefit of the Israeli population. If Israel was interested in doing anything for the population of Gaza, it would have done specifically the children. Wait, let me finish.
You go on these very long rants.
No,
listen, I want to listen to you. Hold on. Shut up. I want to listen to you, but you need to kind of like give us a little bit of space so that we can interject as well. So you're saying that it was not in the benefit of the people of Gaza, but in the benefit of the people of Israel. Can you elaborate on that? Why do you think that benefited Israel and not Gaza if they were the ones having the issue with polio?
Can I jump in real quick? This is what I'm hearing. I observed too. I think the conversation started about the news and the humanitarian aspect of things. What I think Emma's saying is it wasn't driven by a humanitarian purpose, the drive of it. It still happened and it still had the added benefit of it, but I think what she's trying to say is it wasn't driven, like the primary reason of it wasn't humanitarian. It was secondary.
With no evidence.
The good thing is that we have Em in the room, so she can answer. Em, how did it benefit Israel and not necessarily the Gazans? Can you explain what do you refer to that?
So those of you who know a little bit about microbiology and a little bit about the terrain and the geography of the area, Gaza is about 800 meters from the border with Israel. They share a water aquifer as well as a coastal line. These viruses, not to mention the fact that there are constant mechanical tools coming in and out of the Gaza Strip into the Israeli borders. Those carry mud, other organic matter. Those can also carry the virus. The virus, since it is not a vaccine-derived virus, can actually spread within a vaccinated population. It is not dangerous to vaccinated people, but because it is a non-vaccine-derived virus, it is dangerous for young individuals who were never vaccinated. Therefore, it endangers the Israeli population.
So does the fact that maybe Israelis could also be exposed to this virus if it spread too much, does it take away the fact that Israel not only led this operation of the vaccine, but also allowed it to happen in the middle of the war? Cannot we all agree that this was a good thing that they did? Or do we need to demonize it just because there was also potentially a self-interest so that they would protect their people?
At any point? I did not. The only thing I'm saying that if Israel truly did care about the children in Gaza, there is a whole lot of range of issues that need to be addressed in order to care for them. Did you know that there are 20,000 orphans in Gaza right now?
Fine, but then my question to you would be, and it's a rhetoric question, I don't really expect you to answer, but is why should Israel be concerned with the orphans in Gaza when they have their own government? As you say, maybe, and honestly, this would make perfect sense to me, because Israel has got a moral obligation towards their people, not anyone else. And so the fact that they allowed for the people of Gaza to get vaccinated, even if that was in their own interest, I say it completely fine. Now you're saying, well, if they really cared about the children in Gaza, well, it doesn't mean that they don't give a shit about the children in Gaza. But why should we expect Israel to care about the children of another country that is not theirs? That's Hamas' problem. They're the government there.
Okay,
why should we expect from Israel that charity?
There are four levels to that answer. First of all, what you claim to be the government in Gaza is a terror organization that Israel is currently actively trying to eliminate. Therefore, the government cannot actually be active when it is actively being eliminated. That's number one.
Who chose them?
Number two, sorry?
Who elected them?
They were elected in 2007. The percentage of the population in Gaza that were currently... Wait. The percentage of the population in Gaza that were eligible to vote back in 2011 is 8%. Is 8%.
It was in January 2006. Okay.
Oh, for fuck's sake, I don't know why I'm stuck on that 2007 thing.
2007, it was...
I don't know, the number got stuck in my head.
2007, there was like the
coup, right?
Civil war The coup, exactly.
Yeah, the coup. Yeah, that's why I keep conflating it too.
And
But hold on, live in Gaza today. You asked a question. Let me give you a full answer, please.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I muted you. Go ahead. Can you unmute yourself?
Okay. Can I continue?
Yeah.
Okay. The government that you are claiming that it needs to be responsive to the population is, first of all, a terror organization. Second of all, being actively hunted down. So I doubt they will actually care for the children, and they didn't care to begin with. So I have zero expectations from them. Third reason, Israel is an occupying power. According to international law, that's his obligation. Fourth reason, my country. Wait,
No, don't interrupt.
Let me finish. Fourth reason, it's because the most important one, in my opinion. I want my country and my society to be a moral, just, humane society, and not to desert children to a fatal, apocalyptic destiny. I want to live in a society where a child is a child is a child. And if somebody is suffering because of something the government is doing...
So go over there and start adopting!
I don't want to live in a society where it's okay to harm children, where it's okay to watch children suffer
well, you should come to America and shut down Planned Parenthood.
Starving, barefoot orphans roaming...
Is Marshall Rankin in the room?
Marshall. I do not want to live in a society that is okay to that. So I can criticize my own society and country for that.
Can I ask a question to M, please?
I just want to say one thing. And your reasoning about Israel wants also to care about their own population doesn't mean that they didn't do it out of humanitarian purposes. But I would agree with the sentiment that politicians and governments do everything out of their own interest. One of their interests might be that they want to alleviate some of the international pressure of the fact that Israel doesn't do enough in the humanitarian crisis aspect. Humanitarian crisis aspect. So they want, one of their intentions, I would say probably their main intention, was to alleviate some of the pressure. That, again, that's my personal opinion. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. Swifty, you can say whatever you want later. Please, just don't interrupt. No one interrupts McZedler, no one interrupts Swifty, and no one is name calling. Go ahead.
Okay, M, I can sympathize with your criticism of Israel not taking swift action to do everything they can for the orphans of Gaza. Like, I get that. That makes sense. The whole principle of Israel is to protect the orphan, the widow, and the stranger. I totally get that. What I'm sort of questioning is, what do you really want Israel to be doing with the orphans that it does produce through its warfare? There have been techniques in the past, and I'll tell you, like, half of them are some form of genocide if you take or do something with the orphans of a war zone. So, like, what proposals do you have for, like, giving more aid to these orphans that, let's keep in mind, is not going to interfere with Israel's primary goal, which is the destruction of Hamas. It is not their primary goal to be the guardians of the orphans of the Arabic-speaking Palestinians. That is not their role. They would love to help, I'm sure. They have already with the polio vaccine, which they didn't have to do. And I agree with you. Giving vaccines is also a smart move to protect your own people. It's really kind of irrelevant whether you hate a person and they have polio. You still should give them the vaccine. But please tell me what exactly you think Israel should be doing to really care for the orphans while maintaining its war effort against Hamas.
Well, I don't think it needs to maintain its war efforts against Hamas because, as stated by the chief of the IDF, eliminating Hamas is not...
Stop the war, baby!
Okay? Israel should have taken one of the multiple hostage deals that was offered to her, the hostage deal that the majority of the population of the country are advocating for. The reason for the war is not the stated reasons that the politicians keep reiterating. It's not about eliminating Hamas, and it's not about the hostages. If they wanted the hostages, they wouldn't have continued the military campaign, which actually ended up killing more hostages than saving them. This is about something completely different. And the fact is that this is an unknown or let's say, talked about fact, but in Israel, it's very known. This is not about the hostages. This is not about eliminating Hamas, which is an unfeasible goal to begin with.
Really?
It's about resettling Gaza and ethnically cleansing the Palestinians.
Uh-oh.
Okay, if it is about ethnically cleansing the Palestinians, you're saying that the real justification...
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, it wasn't supposed to be like a dialogue. Swift is also here. I also would like to say some stuff. Swift, go ahead. I'm sorry.
They actually need to mute for about 15 minutes to be...
Wait a second. I have one question. 7 October, yeah, was the fault of Israel?
Okay, so the thing, guys, here is that I know everyone wants to talk, but let's try to keep just to one point, because so Mexed is bringing, I mean, he's following the narrative that M is presenting, but Swifty, just like asking a random question, it doesn't help the conversation. Let's try to keep it to the topic, and then we can move on our places. But if we're tap dancing, the point of the conversation just gets lost.
Okay,
so we're talking about right now the vaccines, we're talking about the orphans, we're talking about
what orphans. I want to expose her.
No, it's not the point. We're not here to expose anyone. We're here to have a conversation.
Because Isa is correct. It's not about exposing people. It's only talking about the content, the substance of what we were talking about.
No problem.
To be honest, look, I disagree with them that it is about ethnic cleansing. One of the evidence for me is the document of the day after that was not mentioned. And ethnic cleansing, and just mentioned rebuilding Gaza and giving them a civilian control in the same way that you have in territories B in the West Bank. So this is why I don't think there is an ethnic cleansing. There is a direct document that says to the contrary. But when Anne could speak, I would like us to address her. Okay?
Yeah, and the only thing I'm saying is let's try to stick to exhaust one topic. I think this one is interesting. The topic of vaccines, and I think that makes that question about like, how do you think that? I mean, let's say that Israel needs to take care about the orphanages. Okay, how do we do that? How should they do that? Because he's right. Let's say that Israel adopts all of these orphans that are in Gaza. That is also another form of quote unquote ethnic cleansing, because in the end they will turn these people, leave their culture and turn them into Israelis or Jews or whatever it is. So it is actually a very good question. So
I was asking you. She said to stop the war right now at this moment.
Okay,
go out and take care of the orphans.
We're going to go here. We're gonna go around a topic, not around a person. I disagree with Anne as well. Roddy disagrees with Anne. But that doesn't mean that we cannot have a back and forth. So Swifty, please stop tap dancing. Go ahead.
Okay. I think that I understand M's claim. She's saying that Israel is not really trying to destroy Hamas, because that's a ridiculous claim that would not be accomplished, and the generals have all said so. And thus, they're only saying they're trying to destroy Hamas so that they can justify more and more destructive military engagement in Gaza. That is an interesting claim.
Yeah, and it's unsubstantiated. We are destroying Hamas. The evidence disproves her claim.
I wouldn't say that the evidence disproves her claim, no.
I would. I think we've destroyed, 21 out of 22 Hamas brigades?
Okay, but when is enough? When is enough to the destruction of Hamas?
When is enough?
Yes,
and they surrender and return the hostages. We've known that all along.
Let's start with the question. What is
Hamas? I want to respond to Mick said. Enough is when they surrender and get back the hostages. Those are the war aims stated from day one. That's what we're fighting.
To be honest, I probably disagree. I also probably disagree with them about that Hamas cannot be destroyed. I actually think it was already destroyed. They only have like a small enclave in the middle of Khan Yunis, and because Israel doesn't attack.
I agree. I totally agree.
But wait, Rudy. If they only have a small enclave in the middle of Khan Yunis, then what is the general's plan about?
I think they're just like, some generals will say, wait, and you have like conflicting ideas about how many generals think that Hamas cannot be destroyed, and how many generals will say that Hamas can be destroyed. I think you don't have a consensus
No,
of
but you
generals
just said
or
you just
consensus.
said that the majority of Hamas were eliminated, and there's only a small enclave in Khan Yunis. But the general's plan is claiming. But the general's plan is claiming that there are 5,000 remaining Hamas terrorists in the north. Hence, they need to implement the plan in the north. If you're saying there's only a small enclave in Khan Yunis, that doesn't align. So either
What doesn't align with
the
what?
general can just disagree.
Wait,
Khan Yunis is not in the north.
Let me speak to her for 1 second. Go ahead.
Khan Yunis is not in the north.
Khan Yunis
is in the south, and the enclave that they have is in the middle of the country.
Then if you're saying there's only a small enclave left in Khan Yunis, then why are they claiming that they're enacting the general's plan because there are 5,000 remaining terrorists in the north?
Wait 1 second. When did the general plan was initiated?
It was proposed on September 4th, and it was initiated about a week ago.
Okay, so in this case, I would say that there is not an enclave, but there are still fighters in there. I'm not entirely sure what is in
5,000 is not just a few remaining terrorists.
Oh, no. Wait, who says 5,000? Can you show?
Because you said there was only a small enclave left in Khan Yunis, right?
This is what I have read from a particular military strategist.
Okay, so do you see how we have?
I think it is in Haaretz.
Israelis. Wait. So we're both Israelis. We're both very well informed, and we have conflicting information that doesn't explain why you need to cut off 100,000 people from any source of human rights and basic necessities if there are conflicting source of where there are actual Hamas terrorists left.
No. Oh my God. Let's just not say fake numbers. Let's just look at the reports themselves. And if you have the report about 5,000 in the north, we can discuss that. I can give you the. Now you're interrupting me. I will not interrupt you. I promise you. I have read, I think, 3 different articles that says that they have an enclave. They only remained an enclave, a small enclave in the middle of Khan Yunis. If you have an article saying about the fact that there are a lot of operatives, like 5,000. 5,000 is a lot of operatives. If you have anything to say that there are 5,000 in the north, like probably in Gaza City or
remember what we read about 2 hours ago? The document. It specifies that.
No,
it specifies that as the reason for the general plan.
It doesn't. Wait, just to be clear, it doesn't specify the numbers. No problem. We'll also read about that. Go ahead,
Yeah, I think the war aims have been stated from the beginning. The Hamas needs to surrender, and they need to return the hostages. Not complicated. Let's not get distracted by a lot of nonsense. It's a totally reasonable and legitimate war aim based on Hamas's behavior and based on their words that they would continue October 7th over and over and over. They haven't backed up from that. They haven't put down their guns. When they put down their guns, the war will be over. Very simple. Don't complicate it.
I disagree. I think it's very easy for a military engagement to be started with a specific goal, to identify through the performance of that war.
Which part do you disagree with? Which part do you disagree with?
I disagree with you that it's impossible that Israel is going farther than it needs to for the stated goals.
That's not my claim. That is not my claim. I never said that.
Okay, wonderful.
You don't disagree.
Then I'll just say that what I'm saying has nothing to do with anything Norm said.
Thank you. Now you can make your own statement.
Yeah, right. It seems to me like her claim is Israel is utilizing the justification which started the war, which is the hostages and the destruction of Hamas, to continue in its military engagements to result in a genocide on the Palestinians, a continued destruction of Palestinian regions in Gaza. I don't totally agree with her because I do think that it is complicated to destroy Hamas. I do think Hamas is mostly destroyed, but I also think that that would then naturally lead into a proper occupation. And then your claim is that they're not doing enough if we're in the occupation era of this war, which I think we are, and maybe they aren't. I'm not sure. I'm still asking, what do you think they should be doing? That's what I want Enton to answer, but she might not be here.
I agree with Michael.
Rudy, I sent you a report from the INSS, the Israel Institute for Security Services, which specifies the number 5,000 Hamas terrorists. I don't do false information.
Yeah. No. You're correct. No. This is correct. But just to be clear, what she sent it to me says that it's only will be the removal of the siege will only make possible if 5,000 of the terrorists will lay down their weapons and surrender. This is what it says in the plan. I'm not entirely sure about the plan. I'll just need to read more about it. לא, אגב, הכל טוב. פשוט תשלחי לי את הלינקים, כי כל פעם אני צריך לחפש אותם בגוגל כדי לקרוא אותם עד הסוף.
שלחתי לך גם וגם.
Okay, cool.
Just for those of you who don't know me, it's really hard to tackle me with data. And if I get something wrong, I have no problem. Did we kill the room?
Yeah, bitch, you
No,
killed her.
I'm reading it right now. ישראל ניצחה את המהלך הצבאי העיקרי ברצועה והשיגה את הפירוק האופרטיבי של הזרוע הצבאית של חמאס.
Is this a new room?
Yeah, it is a new room.
What happened to the old one?
M?
Yes?
What humanitarian...
200,000 of the people are already, I hear that, 200,000
Precisely, I told you, 100,000 are still there, specifically, most of them in Jabalia.
What kind of humanitarian effort do you want the IDF to engage in with the Gazan orphans?
I want them to open the water pipes. I want them to bring in food and aid and medical supplies, stop bombing hospitals, stop gunning down people, and all out, just leave the Gaza Strip. Stop killing people.
You want a full evacuation?
I didn't hear her say that.
She said she wants them
full
to leave the
evacuation.
Gaza
Keep
Strip.
the Gaza Strip. Take the hostage deal. Bring back our girls who are in the tunnels for over a goddamn year, and leave the goddamn place alone.
I told you, Lisa. I told you before. She wants to evacuate. She wants to stop the war. Yeah, come on.
Pull out of Gaza, like 2007.
Oh, how I want to stop the war. Me.
She didn't want to even reopen the war. After your question.
You're just asking for Israelis to die at that point.
Yeah. So who was the fault of 7 October? Was the Israeli? Was it Israeli fault? 7 October.
You sound like an Israeli, so I'll answer to you in English.
No, you answer in English. No. Say in English. Say in English, please.
You're the head, you're the boss. Netanyahu massacre, October 7th.
No.
I put it all on Netanyahu.
Wait a second. So it's our fault for 7 October, right?
No, it's
Israel's fault.
Netanyahu's fault and Sinwar's fault.
It's Netanyahu's fault.
Netanyahu did October 7th!
100% is
So it's not Hamas. So the government opened the war, not Hamas. The government opened the war, right?
The government?
Why did Bibi stop them?
Sorry?
Oh my
Why do you
God.
think
I mean, I would also put the blame on Israel, though. I mean, I would also put the blame on Israel, just because like they've been letting like bombs being lobbed into civilian areas for like decades. So
But Yaakov, do you recognize that 72% of the Israeli public is advocating for Netanyahu to step down and to take the hostage deal? Or is this something you didn't?
I saw different surveys in support of the
I'm
war.
sure you saw it on Channel 14, but Khan 11, Channel 13, Channel 12, and Ma'arif all
I read all. I don't just focus on one media outlet. I would be
I
very
decided four. Which is yours?
Just put a link in the chat, please.
No,
Can I ask the links and have them on, as post on X? for fuck's sake.
Put a link in the chat, bitch. Put a fucking link in the
Not a
chat,
fan
bitch.
of
posts on X. I don't trust them. I want to go to the original sources.
It's posted by. It's post. Do you realize I'm talking about posted by the actual media outlets?
You didn't say that, so I want to make sure. I'm trying to
It's by
understand.
the original media outlets. It's posted made by
Sure.
9/11, Mali, and so forth. But I can't put pictures here, so I don't know how to do that. But here in Israel, just Google 9/11 second is got to do.
I have a general question for anybody here, if that's okay, Rodi and Lisa. And it kind of ties into your title too, Rodi. A lot of conversations I hear, especially amongst Israelis, probably more so than Palestinians. To be fair, I don't see Palestinians or Lebanese talking as openly and honestly as the debates that I see within like the Israeli community. So some of what I hear, and I wish Marva was here too, and I don't know, maybe like Hope or somebody else who's in the U.S., those of you in the U.S., sometimes I hear the same type of discussion that a lot of us in the U.S. kind of talked through with Obama, like Osama bin Laden, and like the U.S. funding the creation of that and the Taliban. So I'm curious, like, am I seeing the parallel correctly? Like, if we're talking about just like domestic event, because even within the Israeli community, like I see a lot of discourse and a lot of communication about, you know, just your domestic and your leadership and those things. And I was listening to a very interesting interview with Yitzhak Segev. Am I saying it right? Yitzhak Segev. He was a General Segev, and he was talking about, you know, he was charged with literally like handing over money.
He was the one in the 80s who gave money to Hamas.
Right, and so sometimes and maybe it's just because I'm removed from it, but I sometimes.
1 second, he didn't give money to Hamas. He gave money to the humanitarian organization, to Sheikh Yassin.
You might have.
Okay, thanks, Rodi. I don't know the details as well as you guys, but it just, either way, like it just reminds me of like the parallel when, you know, the U.S., for whatever reasons, they do these things that they funded and supported and made Bin Laden who they were for their own reasons at the time, and then it turned into something bigger that they couldn't control afterwards. Is that kind of the same thing, you think?
So there was a humanitarian organization by Sheikh Yassin in Gaza that was also had a lot of influence in the Sinai, right? This organization, Israel gave money, and they did, for example, build up schools and hospitals and mosques and so on and so forth.
When they thought they were a charity.
But yeah, it was a charity. Yeah, exactly, charity organization. But Israel also did it to have some type of a counterbalance to the PLO. Later on, in 1987, there was an unfortunate act of, it wasn't even an act, it was an accident with a truck that killed 3 Palestinians in Gaza. That spawned the first Intifada that Hamas was basically born out from, but the Intifada itself was mostly peaceful, although not entirely. And all of the money and all of the support of Sheikh Yassin went to also Hamas to have like some type of a militant organization that is based on Islam, based on a lot of anti-Semitism. If you read the 1988 Charter and so on and so forth. So people can say that Israel, in some sense, responsible for their creation. While I don't think it would be totally honest to say that specifically.
Thanks, Rodi.
Yeah.
So the only deal that is on the table, was on the table, is that we give them back terrorists in exchange for hostages, which will encourage them to do more October 7th.
Is it true that most of Israel is interested in that kind of a deal, to give out a lot of Palestinian prisoners?
No.
Hostages?
No, it's not true.
Survey link in the chat. The number that I come up with them is 53%. Asked if the time has come for the war in Gaza to end. 36%. Today it hasn't.
36 say it has, and 53 says it has.
Yeah, it's as of October 7th.
Okay, but what about the deal? Is
Doesn't specify the deal. Yeah, see, the issue is polls don't say, are you prepared to give up? And you have to ask the question in a non-misleading way. You can't say, are you prepared to give up terrorists for, you have to sort of really refine that question and make it as objective as possible. And I haven't
It
seen a
sounds to
poll.
me like M is really more angry at the terms that Israel laid out with its declaration of war, the destruction of Hamas, and honestly, I don't know why she's really so angry about the decision to exchange hostages. That doesn't sound like she would have any say. Like, she doesn't know what those prisoners are and how dangerous it might be to let them go.
No, I don't.
Right, you're not up there. That's why you have elected representatives. They can look at each case
How
and say,
many
listen, we
how
know
many
these
Palestinian
people, this
prisoners
is too dangerous.
how many Palestinian prisoners are currently in Israeli incarceration facilities and prisons?
I have no idea how many.
10,000.
North of 9,000.
Okay,
10,000.
now why does that matter at all?
10,331 was 9,000 about 2 months ago.
Why does that matter?
How many of them are administrative detainees that were put in detention in the past during the genocide or during the war? A little bit over 2,000 of them. How many minors have been placed under administrative detention since the beginning of 2024? About 88. The fact is that the prisoners.
Did they commit
No, let her finish to her point. What's your point now?
No, administrative detention does not refer to people who are being accused of committing a crime. It is being referred to people who are assumed to be a risk at committing a crime.
Okay,
and that includes minors.
What is your point?
My point is that you're talking about these prisoners like they're all, yes, there will be releasing of terrorists with blood on their hands. We know that, but the fact is that this is an ethos in Israel society. We have done it before, and we will do it again, because this is something that the Israel society is based upon. No man left behind. We always knew this is going to end up in a deal, because it has before and it will again. The only question is how much of them are we going to lose before we actually take the deal. And Netanyahu so far has been, according to current estimates, cost us about 40 hostages who were killed in the bombings and other situations because he did not take the deal.
Okay,
by the way, what he did in Gaza, just one more thing. One more thing. What he did in Gaza did not add anything to the security of the population of the Gaza envelope, because what you have is 2 million people who are destitute, angry, and have no vision for the future 800 meters from your border. So if you want the people to be able to go back to their home, create that situation 800 meters from the border is a really bad idea.
But you're proposing an evacuation from Gaza.
Yes.
And then it seems to me that if I have 8 million angry, hungry people,
8 million? No.
Whatever.
Population of Israel is just about 10 million.
2 million people,
2.1 million.
800 meters from the border, angry and poor. I think I would want my military there at the border, correct?
No, because I don't want any more of my soldiers dead. I would like to allow international forces and international aid to come in and help rebuild and rehabilitate that population. Not only because it's good for the security of Israel, but first and foremost because it's the moral, humane thing to do.
To be clear, you're saying that there's 2 million hungry, starving, angry people, and you want to flood them with strangers to solve the problem.
When was the last time you spoke to a Gazan?
I don't know.
The first female Israeli leftist to speak on her clown house and the IDF are her soldiers. Ego.
The majority of
Boom.
them, first of all, if Sinwar pops his head from underneath the ground, they will wring his neck faster than you can say whatever. But the fact is that the only thing, Gazans are inherently anti-Hamas. But the fact is that they're in a situation where the only thing they care about is surviving. Surviving. That's it.
Most of them.
Yeah. This is why I said I think from January that I think that Israel should have probably do some type of a humanitarian zone outside of Gaza, in the Negev, right, in the south to Gaza basically, in Israel, and then they could just do whatever they want if there were a lot of evacuations.
I agree with
if there's sufficient enough of evacuations. I do think Hamas can be destroyed. I actually think it would be very easy if there wasn't this humanitarian crisis in Gaza that Israel should deal with, which, by the way, I always say, I don't think it is because Israel doesn't allow food. I think most of the humanitarian crisis is probably because of the lack of logistics.
So I have a question, Rody. I'm not interested in the same arguments that have been happening for a year.
Oh, but just to be clear, by the way, I really have to go in like 2 minutes. But go ahead.
Well, maybe in another room, I'd like to have a new conversation about solutions. Now, one solution that has been proposed is, and it's a solution that I like, is to have Gaza annexed by Saudi Arabia and have Gaza patrolled by the Saudi military. And I think that you should consider that because Saudi Arabia doesn't like Iran. They don't like the terrorists. And some responsible party has to patrol Gaza to keep terrorists out. And having either Saudi Arabia or Dubai annex it and patrol it may be good for all parties because no Jews will die patrolling it ever again. And the Muslims who live there are more happy being supervised by Muslims than by Jews. And I put that forth as a friend, and I'm interested in your opinion.
Damn, they finally kicked me. What a waste of time. It's interesting hearing an Israeli liberal, female, talk about ending the war as if she's a military strategist. I love big mouth women. I love them.
Bringing in $7 million plus, we should not be worried about no taxes or inflation. Because at the end of the day, a full faith and credit means that the consumer gets the backing of the Federal Reserve. If we're saying the consumer with the backing of the
Somebody kicked me. I'm gonna have to complain to Rody. I gotta get back in that room. Somebody kicked me. Rody! Rody! They kicked me!
There are policies in the Uniform Commercial Code as well as the United States Code that says all commodities to citizens will be compensated and replenished. Then that's what we need to do. We can't say, okay, well, I'm paying $1,000 in miscellaneous products, and then I'm paying $4,000 every quarter for rent. It already says that is paid for. So every quarter, you need to be filing your taxes and getting your reimbursement for your expenses. Certain expenses are free. So with that being said, it's like people are in fucked up situations because we don't read, not because the government structure is leaving us out to dry. Because no matter who's in office, that legislation still stands. You still can write off your miscellaneous expenses. You still can write off your utilities. You still can write off your rent and all of your loans. They're not transactions.
So there is a simple flaw in your argument, a simple one, and not saying that what you're giving is not great advice. I would say, if you're a person that have the mental capacity to calculate those type of things and figure those type of things out, then you definitely should. But what I always like to tell some people are dumb, bro. Like they was not raised right. They wasn't raised to do that. But they are regular folks that we need. We need them down at McDonald's to flip burgers, right? We need them to flip burgers. We need them to be janitors. We need them to go work in the sewer. These people are not going to be, and these are the majority of people. I'm going to let you know. The majority of people,
the greatest.
All they could do is work a regular job, bro. They could work a regular job. They ain't got no financial savvy. They ain't got none of that. And so, as a politician, you need to make the environment for these people to be able to thrive because you need them. You need them to work. You need them in your factory. whether it be to just press that button so the big ass machine could come down and turn the sheet of metal into something different. You need people that could do that, right? And those are the dumb people. Those are the people that are not as smart as you, man. Right? They're not going to be able to figure out the motherfucking tax code and all the different ways to get in there. That's why people like you, when you become a politician, you need to set the environment so these people to thrive, right? And not thrive to where they could all get Mercedes, but thrive to where they could pay for their daily necessities, or else they won't come to work for you. So with all your money making and all of your stocks, they're all going to crash because you're not going to have no workers. You're not going to have no people at the bottom. You need people at the bottom. And people at the bottom. Yeah, but eventually you're going to run out of replacements if you don't care about them.
Well, when people start caring more, start doing more for themselves, is when you're going to start running out of replacements. But unfortunately, we live in a world where people don't want to work, so they're going to settle for less. So if we all were on top of it and actually using our heads, we could be a lot more richer than we really are. And this government shit, this government control, won't be allowed. But unfortunately, we're letting the system win. Like, people don't have to be poor. People don't have to be living in the hood. People don't have to be living off of welfare and shit like that. It's a choice. Let's be really honest. There's homeless people out there that make it out of being poor just by begging for money and saving it and figuring, okay, well, I don't have credit, so I can't lose. All I gotta do is make money, and then I'm gonna use this credit and build it up. To be honest, credit is everything. We haven't even mentioned that yet. Credit is everything. Fuck everything else. Fuck your job, whatever you do for a living. Credit.
Well, you know what's better than credit? Cold hard cash.
Cold hard cash is 100% better, but that's why they're trying to get that out. You guys realize that this digital currency is what they're trying to do to take the cash away, because they want to control us. They want to control every aspect of what we spend, how we spend our money, what we do with it. They can even freeze your account if it's.
You're going into a whole different topic.
I'm going into a different topic, but we mentioned.
But let me respond to something that you said about people being or having a choice and choosing to stay in the hood.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you right now. No, they're not. Some of them are just that dumb. They didn't get proper nutrition when they were being raised as a kid. To give them discipline and human beings, if they're not raised properly, they're just not gonna be able to function, bro. All this stuff that you're talking about and all these fancy mathematical. Hey, bro, can you go on mute? You got a lot of background noise.
My bad.
Yeah. So like I said, people. I think a lot of people, they think everybody thinks like them and operates like them.
Let me just finish. Oh, okay. So can you moderate her to not over?
Okay. So you're saying rent control leads to more housing? Can you just explain your point again?
I don't understand what's going on.
He did not say what control
leads to. Yeah, are we gonna just shout people down and play dumb? Is that how we have conversations?
No,
that's how they have conversations.
Just restate your big.
Could you ask her not to interrupt if you wanted to actually moderate?
Let's be honest, CEO Branding is not a genius. He's barely a CEO, so he fakes being a CEO on Clown House. He's a low IQ schmuck. Exactly.
Concrete, can you go ahead and continue?
So, rent increase, she's saying, is going to lead to people not buying homes. I take it she's talking about landlords, right?
That's not what I
people
said.
Who are buying.
That's what. Oh my God. That's
you
not
didn't
what
say
I
that.
said.
You didn't say. Okay,
I didn't
ma'am.
say
Look.
anything about buying homes. What?
You can clarify if you want. Go ahead. Rent control leads to.
What I said was rent control favors the renter and not the owner. Now, granted, they already get a lot of tax subsidies, which I have an issue with. I much prefer to attack them that way. But I'm not a proponent of rent control, because I know individuals in New York that have stayed in certain places while, the cost of everything is skyrocketing. right? And they're like, well, I inherited this from my grandma, so I barely pay, blah, 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 blah. I don't think that's fair. And yes, I'm a baby capitalist.
So you also stated
a limited rise in rent,
yeah.
no rise in rent at all. It just
Well, do they cap the price of Jordans? Do they cap the price of tennis shoes? Do they cap the price of Louis Vuitton? Like, I don't know.
you did say that people would get. You did say that. One second, sir. Let me just finish. You did say. I'm trying to have an exchange, sir, if you don't mind. So you said that people would get out. 1 second, sir. All right, sir.
The long-term inflation rate in the United
CEO, why aren't you moderating this guy interrupted me from making my point?
Is 2% to 2.5%.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Tony, let Concrete finish.
Yeah, thank you. Anyway, so you did mention that people would get out of housing and real estate. You did say that. So I don't know why you're backtracking on it now. Because obviously,
yeah, I did. That has
it's
nothing to do with
obviously,
buying a house.
1 second,
Because
ma'am.
people actually
Ma'am.
Anytime you have.
Oh my gosh. Can you just stop?
You talk about your
Can you just stop?
economic turmoil.
Can you just stop? Can you just stop?
Can you just stop? How many times
You're
have you
interrupting
had that
me.
in your life,
You're interrupting me.
including by your wife? Can you just
Can
stop?
you? Oh my gosh. What is going on, bro?
May you
Does anybody want to correct her? Like, you're just gonna sit here and let her be anyway? So the whole point is. So the whole point is, she made the claim people would get out of real estate, and getting out of real estate, taking that she's talking. Oh my gosh, bro!
I told you, bro.
She obviously is. You're obviously trying to be obstructive, and that's fine. I think it's just childish, right? Anyway, the whole point is, if people got out of real estate as profiteers, then obviously it would lower the cost of real estate. Lowering the cost of real estate would open up the opportunity to more people.
That it would increase
more people. 1 second, ma'am. 1 second, ma'am. 1 second, ma'am. If it lowers the cost of real estate, because you're no longer.
This is Concrete how he does his thinking process. He goes word to word to word to eventually get a thought out. He can't have a thought and then just say it. He has to go word to word to experience.
College. I hated high school. What do the business prospects look like? Like, what kind of company would you work for doing graphic design? Like some
to go, Brazilian down there when you're going to wear a bathing suit to the beach almost every day because it's going to suck up in there. And then it's going to be it's not going to be a good look. Okay? So it's all right. You know what I mean?
Exfoliation. That's the key. Exfoliate.
Hi, excuse me, Uni. I want to ask you to change your PTR. That's animal cruelty. You have to be more sensitive going into this election. The people in Springfield, Ohio don't appreciate your racism.
I'm not American, so I don't give a shit. You love fart.
He's not American.
I'm not American, so I don't give a shit. So, yeah.
I don't know what that person is. But I don't know either. He's got Putin and
Yeah, his name is Love Fart.
He's crazy, okay, and silly. He's not a bad person. He's not like a real bad troll. I don't give a shit what he is.
He loves farts.
Love fart.
Omega, what do you do for a living?
Nothing. He worked under your couch.
Omega's in the army.
Oh, you're in the army? Army's strong, man.
We're retarded.
Are y'all coming to Western North Carolina or what? Are y'all on your way yet?
Yeah, what the fuck,
Are y'all
bro?
coming or what? Where are you?
Well, okay, so here's the issue.
Just asking for a couple hundred friends still stuck in the mountains, that's all. Day 18.
Here's the thing. Humans tend to spend their reserve money on other things, hence why they don't have the materials to pay.
Rebuttal? Well, I got a rebuttal. So once again, I still see a flaw in that because there are certain habits, right, and the environment that's going to put you in a position to where you would even have to go file for that, right? And that's the problem with certain governments. They always want to throw money. Okay, yeah, we're going to cancel all that out, and maybe that will help some people. But for the people, it's a behavioral problem, and then it's also the environment that the government set. Okay, if you set a government where there is high taxes, there's high regulation, people can't make it. You're practically taxing them out of their businesses, right? You're making it to where the because of your energy policy, right? A lot of the high prices are driven by the energy policy because it takes fuel to move goods, right? And so because it takes fuel to move goods, if the fuel is high, then everything else starts being high. So the government has a role to play by setting the environment for these people to be able to sustain their life, and giving them a blank check is not going to add money to make them be able to afford rent. It's not going to add money to make them to be able to afford a house. It's not going to add money to their paycheck or their salaries that are not keeping up with the cost of living. It's not a fix. It's literally not a fix. It's literally a Band-Aid. What you got to do is take it from a holistic point of view, and as a government, you set policies that create an environment for people to thrive. And then as the individual, you have also the responsibility of getting smarter and more business savvy, whether it be for financials or whatnot.
I'm just for conversation purposes, I'm going to reiterate the statement. If you're filing your taxes every quarter and getting your expenses like the same rights as those same costs back, costs back,
Or maybe like short things with like tweezers.
At some point, we need to normalize paying our bills 3 months at a time, because that's where we're fucking up at. We keep coming up with excuses and saying, yeah, people can't think right. Man, people think well enough to go file for child support. People think well enough to go get Section 8 and food stamp. They can normalize understanding which forms they need to fill out, or understand what forms they need to have somebody else fill out.
Why are you obsessed with forms and filling out forms, Land?
Because they keep saying that it's messing up people's spending, or it's messing up people's livelihood. So if the IRS is giving you a position to get a check every 3 months, why not use it?
Well, let me ask you a question, Len. Let me ask you a question. Where do you think the money for the checks that the IRS is giving you is coming from? Who do you think is paying for that?
Your refund comes from the federal government. Because the IRS is basically like a credit auditor on behalf of the citizens, and they need to be able to give a report to the Federal Reserve to understand how much more money or credits to print in the first place. We'll say credit.
You need to go to usdebtclock.org and look at the actual balance sheet of the United States of America, and then try to make informed decisions based off of the balance sheet and the income statement, and look at it. It's called usdebtclock.org, and find out how much your average citizen owes the government for debt, and what the government owes its creditors, which is China, Japan, Bank of England, the Federal Reserve.
Now, the creditors are the people within. The creditors is everybody with a birth certificate or a social security.
No, that's the slave population bagged and tagged at birth with a social security card that's lasered on your asshole, and you don't even know it.
Be the creditors, though. The bond owners are not the creditors. The bond owners are
The citizens are the debtors, sir. I don't know what you're talking about.
And that's the part where I'm pushing back on, because you can't say that the creditor that is backing the system is the debtor. That don't make sense. You can't say that, oh, you're bagged and tagged at birth, and
then
You are
your
bagged and tagged at
instruments have a
birth.
full
You're
faith
born
and
into
credit.
debt. You're born into a $500,000 debt at birth.
Have a full faith and credit are leveraged with the municipality. Now you become the debtor. That doesn't make sense.
You're born
I
into
could see
debt.
I could see where your federal person could be the debtor and your state person be the creditor, but the state person still would be the creditor.
Okay,
of the federal
let me
person.
just read to you the unfunded liabilities. The total amount for unfunded liabilities is $219 trillion. Social Security has an unfunded liability of $27 trillion, Medicare liability of $41 trillion, and the liability per citizen in the United States of America is now $650,000.
So let me see if I could like break this down into layman terms of what he's saying. What he's saying is the money that you're gonna receive to pay your rent is gonna come out of other people's pocket, right? And that's I know you think it's not true, but let me get it out. You know what? You got it. Go ahead, man. I think I know where it comes from. Yeah, I don't. When I speak, I'm not thinking. You're not going to tell me that people file their taxes and then the money comes from the taxes that people have paid to pay out on a rebate, on a refund. That don't make sense.
He's right.
When there's a whole Federal Reserve that can print up more credits. That's asinine and redundant. But if that's the narrative you want to believe, we can go with that. But
Well, the Federal Reserve is acting like a credit card company, and the government keeps putting more on the credit card. And how long can you just keep doing it? Infinitely? Your definition is you can do it infinitely. I agree with you. I think you can do it forever until the empire collapses, and that's when everybody becomes a slave. And don't think slavery can't come about in 2060 because of some thermonuclear war. You know, our government is leading us down the road of perdition or to hell, to the center of hell. That's what your Kamalists are going to do.
Yeah, at the end of the day, man, when you hit up the IRS and the IRS gives you something that it doesn't come from other taxpayers. If we're looking at the debt from the country owed, it's owed to the creditors.
Okay, well, do you really want to argue about perspective and relativity? You want me to hold my fucking tongue? Okay, go ahead, genius. Let's hear what you got to say, smarty pants.
Because the debt, the creditors would be the state person. The creditors would be your instruments that have the potential to have a full faith and credit. Your birth certificates, your baptismal certificates,
Your baptismal certificates.
For your different companies. Those are
Wait, I'm sorry. How much is a baptismal certificate worth?
Go perfect security interest in it and find out for yourself. You want the link for that? You need the link on how to naturalize?
Listen, I don't think I've ever met somebody with such a high IQ. You should probably teach at Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Brown, anywhere. Are you an economics and financial professor? You're a fucking genius, Land.
I appreciate that. Glad you know. So with that being said, but yeah, what I'm getting at is real simple. If we're saying that the debt looks bad and we already agreed that it's owed to the people and it should be divided amongst people, because I believe it's the 16th Amendment or the 15th Amendment, one of the two says that taxes are to be divided amongst persons. Now, maybe in this context, we don't know the difference between we the people and we the persons, but we could definitely talk about that, because I can agree that the federal person could be the debtor and the state person be the creditor. I'm cool with that. But then that goes back to an infrastructure issue and that goes back to a user issue and not an infrastructure issue. Because now the user is saying, hey, I don't really know how to conduct commerce. And now I'm in a position where I can't afford to conduct commerce in the first place. Hold on. There's two links I'm going to upload in the front chat for y'all. And of course, these are going to have .govs, of course. So it leaves all the...
What are we arguing about?
Bruh, everybody... Where the refund comes from. Whoa. We're not arguing about anything. All we're doing is witnessing Land just run his fucking mouth and just talking about whatever the fuck he's talking about. Clearly, he does not want to have a conversation with anybody. He just want to lecture us and just like this dude is actually over there while we sitting there listening, talking about dude, come on, bruh. Have respect for the people on stage. We're trying to have a conversation with you. We're not trying to be lectured. You cut me off while I was talking, and then you complaining about love talk cutting you off, man. So back to the conversation. You've been talking for a minute about nothing. So back to the conversation. What we was getting at, right, is the fact that we know that each citizen owes part of the debt. Okay? They owe part of the debt. Right? Now, whenever the government decide to pass a policy or a bill or whatever, it has to be funded. Where does the money come from? You said it comes from the Federal Reserve. Well, it comes from the Federal Reserve as debt. Okay? It comes to the Federal Reserve as debt. And that's why we pay taxes. Our taxes does not pay off the debt, but it does offset it. Right? It does offset it. And especially on the local level, those taxes are used directly in those cities. Okay? So if you're paying taxes in Chicago or you're paying taxes in Illinois, those taxes go to the state, right? So there's those taxes. All of those taxes are used to fund things around the state, right? So if you have a program that help people pay off their rent, right? And I'm pretty sure not everybody qualifies for that program. I'm pretty sure not everybody qualifies for that program. So that means some people are receiving money from the taxes while others are not. So that's the crux there. And the people who are receiving the money, like me, I pay my own mortgage, right? And there's people all around that pay their own rent, right? They don't go to the government to get their rent paid. They pay their own rent, okay? So if they're paying their own rent and they have figured out how to do it, I could trust those people to continue to do that. Now, these other people who are going to the government and filling out whatever form to get their rent paid, whether it be for Section 8 or whatever, they have shown a pattern of not being able to pay their rent, bruh. So helping them pay their rent by writing off their debt for like 1 month for every quarter is not gonna teach them how to fish. It goes back to that saying of, you teach a man how to fish is better than giving him the fish. What you're talking about is just constantly giving out fishes. How are they gonna be able to sustain themselves and eventually start a family and then teach? What, they're gonna teach their kids to go and fill out the form too? If I'm gonna teach my children to just go and fill out the form, why would they want to be a doctor? Why would they want to strive for anything good? Why not just live up the government and go fill out the form every 3 months? Like what you're saying, you keep trying to like make it seem like everybody else is dumb and you're the smart one. But anybody with common sense, I don't need to have a degree to understand that that's a dumbass system where you just give away shit. But go ahead.
Okay. So then don't complain about inflation. Don't complain about bills. Don't complain about taxes. Because we still haven't explained why the Fortune 500 companies pay less than 1% in taxes, but then other people that work for those companies pay 20 to 30% in taxes. So then now we have to have a totally different conversation. If we're just blowing the entire 15th and 16th Amendment out of the park by saying, hey, we're just going to disregard that, then why the fuck are we here? Why the fuck live here? If we're going to disregard the rules, if we're going to put ourselves in positions to say, hey, we're not going to use the system that's already at our disposal, which we swore an oath to. So why complain? Why complain about paying your own bills, paying your own rent, or whatever? Just deal with it. Paying your own taxes. Enjoy. Have fun. Forget about the
Hi, Mod. After Land has landed his plane, put me in the queue.
forget about tax code and just have fun.
Go ahead, love.
Yeah, I mean, I would if we were to eliminate, 50 federal agencies, we would be in a much better place. If we eliminated the IRS and we restarted a new organization and we called it the United States Taxation Service, as opposed to the Income Revenue Service, because my income is not the government's income. That's called a silent partnership, aka the mafia. So if I were to put up $100,000 to open up a hamburger franchise and open up my first hamburger restaurant, and at the end of the year I got to file my taxes or file quarterly, I'm now paying a silent partner, and they did not invest in my business, not in the slightest, not even a tax credit. So we have a major, major economic problem because of government regulation and the fact that these agencies exist to bog down business. And Elon Musk is making the point very clear with SpaceX and what he goes through. It's the example of the beet farmer who's really busy working on his farm, digging holes, planting seeds, watering, harvesting, processing. And then a government employee from the agricultural department shows up and says, hey, I've got these 35 pages you're going to need to fill out. If you don't have them to me by Friday, we're going to shut down your operation. And he says, I don't have time to fucking fill this paperwork. I got to get back out into the field and fucking keep harvesting. Otherwise, I'm going to lose the business. And he says, well, also, you're going to have to pay us taxes. You haven't paid this and you have to pay fine. So you see my point, where you have government employees who have never started a business showing up to businesses saying, you owe us money or we're going to shut you down. Do you see what we're doing to each other? Because people don't give a fuck and they have no morality, no ethics, no virtue, no common sense. They're unpatriotic. They're anti-American. They're communists. You see what's happening here? Your government has become communist. I'm complete.
So I want to say something real quick to respond to what Lance said. You see, I have a different view of what a Fortune 500 company is. You know what I'm saying? When I see a Fortune 500 company, I see those people that work in that company as not having a job if that company did not exist, right? So let's say my name is Land, right? And I create Land Inc., right? Incorporated. Right? I start off my company, I got my idea, maybe I make widgets or whatever it is that I'm making, right? In this little neighborhood where I live, let's say we have an unemployment problem, right? But I came up with the idea and then I open up a factory. Now all of a sudden, all these jobs are there now. I got an accountant, I got an HR department, I got all the people that work there, managers, all the way up to the CEO, right? Mind you, I'm getting rich. But also the people who are working for me are also getting money. And guess what? Because of my Fortune 500 company, all of the taxes that are being paid by those people is coming from my idea. Because guess what? The widgets that are being sold is what pays everything. Did the government help me to figure out the widgets? Not necessarily. Yes, we have the infrastructure, which is not necessarily the government. That is provided by the people, which I am one of the people, right? We all pay taxes. So the tax code is actually meant to help these companies stay afloat, because they understand that these companies literally is the lifeblood of all the people who work for those companies. This is how these people put food on their tables. You know what I'm saying? There are people out there, as soon as somebody gets rich, right, they want to villainize them. Oh, they're a villain because they're luxurious and they have money from their ideas, right? These companies pay more taxes than anybody else. The owners of these companies, they pay more taxes than anybody else. A lot of times what the government complains about is the extra taxes that they don't get. Okay? Because the poor people pay a lower tax rate. I know that for a fact. And our tax rate is like a step. As you make more money, you pay more, right? And yes, the rich do look for loopholes, but those loopholes are put in there to keep those companies afloat. At least that's what I see, right? Because even you, if you go and start an LLC, you're going to start looking for the loopholes too, to keep your company afloat. So you could maybe diversify and maybe bring some more jobs to another neighborhood when you start your next franchise or whatever it is that you're going to do, because most people who can't make the money, they don't want to just open one factory. They want to open 20 factories if they can. It's plenty money for them, but it's also money for the workers. But I land right there.
Hey, Stu.
My medical bag.
What up, Daddy?
Hey, I love the way you say idea up right now. You say idea? Think how what are you doing?
He funny.
Go ahead, Lamb. I know you got a rebuttal. You was laughing the whole time, so go ahead.
Oh, nah, man. I'm just, like I said, I'm just chilling, man. At the end of the day, it still goes back to the Fortune 500 companies. If you add up their revenue and add up what they paid in taxes, are paying less than 1%. So now we're saying, well, they're only paying less than 1%.
But that's not a Fortune 500 problem. That's a government problem.
I'm not saying it's a problem at all. So say it to somebody else. Cut somebody else off, bro. This man just gave a whole dissertation for 5 minutes, and you shut the fuck up. Give me the same courtesy, please. I promise you're only going to be 2. What I'm getting at is real simple. We put ourselves in a position to sit here and say, hey, well, they just writing off more stuff because they the backbone, or they finding loopholes. Okay, so why are we not finding the same thing structured for us? So you find a kick out of that. Why are we not finding the air quote, unquote, laws and loopholes that help us? At what point do we be like, okay, I'm going to be beneficial and keep moving? Like, we keep coming up, and that's...
So which form should I fill out? Which form should I fill out to be like a Fortune 500 thing? You seem to know.
My fault. Go ahead. What'd you say? I couldn't hear you. I was speaking.
I said you keep saying that the Fortune 500 has this incredible tax advantage that we American taxpayers don't have. What's the form you're filling out that you need to tell us about?
I just put the damn forms in the front channel.
Oh, you put it in the chat?
I said one thing, me personally, first off, we're not going to mix it with me. I'm broke.
So wait, you is that your credibility statement? I'm broke. That's why you think we should actually listen to what you have to say?
I qualify for FAFSA. Okay? I'm broke. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. So what I'm getting at is real simple. We put ourselves in a position to understand the tax code. We ain't got to worry about all that extra shit because, like Brother Love just said, there's not one law that a doggone company can use that a citizen can't. And I totally agree with that, Brother Love.
I didn't say that. You said that, stupid.
No, you just said, well, you're making it seem like one is saying that the corporations can use the taxes,
I heard
codes,
that.
and we can't.
You made that up. He ain't said nothing like that.
Yeah, whatever. Replays are on. We can start another room and listen to them.
Yeah, and we was all here hearing them. He did not say anything about that. You just made that up.
Yeah, whatever. You just said it just now.
Did y'all hear Lil say that?
So let me make the point that if we were actually...
You know there is sometimes, I think you guys are missing this reason too, right? There is a practical reason for race in America as far as being concerned about it, right? A practical reason, right? Okay, so I know when I was living in New Mexico, for example, I was living in Albuquerque, and there's very small black community there, right? But when the census came around, all of the black quote-unquote leaders in the city of Albuquerque, right, encouraged black people to fill out the census data for the state of New Mexico, right? Now, at first, I really didn't know like why it was so important, right? I sat there and talked to, the pastor, Pat Jenkins, right? I sat down and talked to him, and I'm like, hey, why is this shit so important? He goes, because when they're giving out money, you feel me, or they're extending programs, they extended to the people who have a significant population first, or people who have a certain population, right? The more of you in a certain city, the more funding your community, quote unquote, gets. You get what I'm saying? So therefore, it's like there's 100% like I think he was part of the Black Caucus or some bullshit or something like that, Black Chamber of Commerce or something like that in New Mexico. I mean, and there's other organizations in the state, whatever, at the time too, right? So therefore, it's like he was talking about the direct funding that we will get if we have a certain population. So being concerned with race or filling out the census data, yada yada, whatever else, and putting your race. Sometimes again, it can be more practical than anything else, you know.
Listen, the title with her. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, love. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if you want me to talk about the title instead of shitting on Land's, kind of useless contribution, race is like a race. There's first place, there's second place, there's third place, and fourth place does not get a fucking medal. And the problem with race is that religion triumphs and surpasses race consciousness. God consciousness supersedes anyone's racial identity, political position. And so that's why you can hear a lot of black men speaking as if they have the Holy Spirit, and they don't talk about race. That's not a disqualifier, and that's not an inhibitor to their success, because they believe that their success comes from God. And so there's ways to get past race consciousness, but from a political identity perspective, it's very useful to manipulate people with essentially race consciousness. It's a hypnosis.
You're never going to get past race consciousness. All you're going to do is simply give it another name. I mean, it's kind of like at this stage in America, we're playing with semantics. We're sitting there saying gender is a social construct and race is a social construct. But for thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of fucking years, right? All of our ancestors, which none of them were weak ancestors, because otherwise we wouldn't be here, right? All of our ancestors somehow lived in homogenous groups. And it wasn't until maybe the last 102 years, right, where we got this philosophy of everybody's just mixed with everybody bullshit, right? Okay, and it's not even a worldwide philosophy. It only exists in a handful of countries, right? There's only a handful of countries like America where it's just everybody wants to blend in with everybody. This doesn't exist in, let's say, Turkey. Doesn't exist in, let's say, China. Doesn't exist like in India. Doesn't exist anywhere else, right? But except for this, where we live at. And we are so egotistical that we believe that our idea of multiculturalism is how the world feels, because we don't get outside of it, right? Okay, so therefore it's like there's no way you're going to sit there and tell me that people did not separate themselves into groups forever. Even when you read about the Roman Empire or the Austro-Turkish Hungarian Empire, right, and how they fell. The Roman Empire fell and it broke off into ethno-states, right? The Roman Empire fell and broke back off into ethno-states, right? It says that in the history books. They didn't fall and become multicultural. No, they fell and separated into their own ethno-states. But the Roman Empire made them multicultural. Multi-ethnic, you could say.
You know the movie.
So once they fell, they went back into their own original ethno-states.
Well,
same thing with the Austro-Hungarian, same thing with the Byzantine.
Uncle, birds of the same feather flock together.
All of these empires that fall, they break back off into their ethnicities.
That's only natural.
We prefer to be around our own. It's just a fact.
In that movie Planet of the Apes, Charlton Heston said during lunchtime, the chimpanzees had lunch with the chimpanzees, the orangutans ate with the orangutans, and the gorillas ate with the gorillas. Self-categorization and putting yourselves into buckets is what we do, because that's security.
And I think anybody trying to fight against that concept is just an idiot. I mean, they have this flawed version of thinking, because even science proves this. I mean, even social scientists have proven this many times. They literally observed a group setting with different races in it, and they saw that you gravitate towards the race of your own. You saw the blacks kind of gravitate towards other blacks, the whites gravitate towards other whites, whatever else gravitate towards the other group. And it wasn't even due to racism. It wasn't because they couldn't hang out with each other. It wasn't because nobody hated anybody. It was because that was just naturally who they were inclined to gravitate to.
But God is what connects everyone. But see,
Like, you know,
putting each other.
like, you know, how you doing, Uncle? Hey, doing? What's up? Yeah. So, yeah, you're kind of right. It's not racism. Like, I'm Persian. Like, you know, I cannot get along with a girl from another ethnicity. Like, I can only crash into a Persian girl. Literally. It's not because I'm, you know, worshiping my own race. It's because I'm not getting attracted to any other ethnicities. I try that. I'm not attracted to Chinese, Indians, or black, or even white. I thought I'm going to be attracted to blondes, but I tried it, and I'm right now 35 years old, and I found my desire, and my desire is exactly my own race. Well, probably when I was younger, I was, you know, kind of interested in American blonde chicks, but, you know, not now anymore. Like, you know, I need my own race. So I think this is kind of a same for everyone. It's not because
it's the most natural formation. Interracial relationships are kind of forced, and they're usually superficially built.
Knowing that they carry explosives and seeing several.
And I think it's cool. Races. I think it's pretty cool. And I think this is kind of a conspiracy. I think they're trying to eradicate all the ethnicities. They're trying to find.
I think they want to bring back the Tower of Babel type understanding.
Exactly.
Where all races are unified and we're all trying to go against God. But it's kind of like how it's working out, it seems. But yeah, it might be more conspiracy.
But there is no such thing as diversity. That's a communication hypnosis. We are all comprised of atoms.
There's a diversity. You gotta come to the Eastern world.
No, there's no such thing as diversity. That's a communication hypnosis. If we were in the Tower of Babel and we all spoke the same language, there would be no diversity. If there the hypothesis is that there's no diversity in particle physics, meaning that all of this race play is cosplay or it's wordplay. And if there was a Tower of Babel and we all essentially became silent, like imagine we couldn't actually speak anymore, that would be essentially a deracialization because it's a communication issue. And what we have is a failure to communicate. If Tower of Babel came back and everybody actually did speak a universal ancient language, there might be less conflict in the world.
Well, the Tower of Babel's here currently, and the universal language is English. Like, so therefore, it's like, I mean, we're kind of already working towards that, bro.
Well, English and Latin is universal, to be honest.
No, we're not talking about it. Love is talking about it from a biblical perspective,
yeah,
right?
Spanish. Yeah, biblical.
Yeah, from a biblical perspective. What I said was, I used Tower of Babel as a reference point, and not for people to believe in it, not because of religious purposes, but because that story falls in line with what I see them trying to do with this whole New World Order. Like, that reminds me of the story of the Tower of Babel. It seems like you can't quote the Bible. You can't quote the Bible or mention the Bible as reference points for people without them feeling that it's coming from a religious stance. But if I would have made a Star Wars reference, you guys would get it. Like, it's crazy.
That would be crazy though. If at some point in history we just all forget like everything, like the communication, and all you're doing is standing there. You're looking down at your skin color. You might see yourself in a reflection. You're looking at everybody else. They're looking at you. You don't know who's who, and you have to try to figure out how to like survive and shit. Wouldn't that be crazy? Like, what would we do? Would we segregate ourselves by races because of what we see?
Yeah, we still segregate ourselves by race.
I feel like people wouldn't segregate themselves.
Thank God, Morris is not here.
I feel like people would go. Strong people would stick with strong people. Big people would stick with big people. Little people would stick with little people. Like, I feel like it would be based off of what can you bring to the table. If you're strong, we're gonna come over here. We need you because we're building a fortress, or we're gonna be unstoppable because we're big and strong. If you're I think that's how it would be. I don't think it would be a race thing. It would just be a muscle thing at that.
It'll definitely be a race thing, but maybe we won't call it race, but it'll be race and everything but the fucking word, right? It definitely would be. We've already seen this they've already studied this at a micro level. They've already seen what human beings do. Like, they've seen we put them in prison. Like whatever, how they poop up. In the military, they see how they poop up, and even in the military. You see mostly black soldiers kicking with other black soldiers. Maybe white soldiers
ourselves in the nuts and shit. We don't like doing
Exactly, bro. Like, we separate, even if it's not even about racism.
That's some white
even if
boy
we're not.
shit.
What you say, sis?
Nah, I say when they hit motherfuckers in the nuts, there's always some white boy doing that shit. Piss me off, man.
That's facts, right? So what I'm saying is, all I'm saying is basically, we already see what happens when people get put in fucking crazy situations. They separate by the group.
Well, look, you're doing it right now. Proof is in the pudding. What you're doing on this app is technically a parallel society, and it's a parallel government. And what you're doing is being subversive because you are commenting and critiquing on an authoritarian government, which is what we all live under. And it is an extremely authoritarian government, and more so externally than internally, because regime change operations for the past 20 years are real.
Exactly. So race, although we're gonna sit there and say it's a social construct, like gender is a social construct, we all know it's real. And historically it's always been real. Why do you think they enslaved certain groups and not others? Why do you think certain people were considered less than others? It's like, you call it whatever fuck you want to call it. People always recognize different